I gotta listen back to this. I'm like, is this the usual fuck with Raiz hour?
Everyone's good.
I'm
That
kind of.
seems to have done it, yes? Alright, cool. Okay, well, in that case then, let's go. Hey guys, Tarke here, and we are joined by too many people. We have Uberly, Karv, and last minute Empy joining the peoples. So thank you everyone for turning up. This is going to be a slightly salty episode, possibly, since we're talking all about Atlas. Ziggy's made the very wise move to peace out. So yeah, just to get into it, what has people been up to? To have a normal sort of PV discussion before we get into full salt mode. What about you, Uber?
I've been messing around pretty much with just necro stuff and figuring out how shaped Atlas and just how good Elder Influence is. Spoiler, it's really fucking good. Um, and I've been playing a necro version of Righteous Fire, which basically is, you know how Burn Specters uses a Wickerman and 3 Tukogamas, but they nerfed Wickerman. Well, you are the Wickerman at that point, so all you just run is 3 Tukama Vanguards. Thanks, Karv, for the idea, by the way.
You're welcome.
And
So
then
it's your build though. It's your build though.
That's the worst thing. But it was between this or like what? Necro Sunder, because I saw you guys doing that.
Oh,
Like, oh
God.
my god.
I'm still gonna do it, dude.
Dude,
I like-
I'm probably gonna end up doing it too. Brightbeak Sunder just looks so good. But right now I'm currently testing out Magic Find on Specters in Elder maps. Like just quant farming and getting a decent amount of rarity. So
I tune into Uber's stream. I see like 5 a.m. on his clock, and he's just sitting there. I must figure out the Sunder Necro build. I have to figure it out. Like, what? I'm like, dude, why are you? It's just Sunder. Don't worry about it. He's like, but Karv told me that. Blah blah. Like, what the fuck? What is this?
oh god.
You guys have a necro obsession. It's getting unhealthy, guys. I'll be honest. It's getting a bit unhealthy.
I mean,
I was more concerned by the fact that it like looked viable.
Yeah, that's the scary part.
Anything with Necro and Skirt is viable.
but you realise that when you make that build, it's why you playing Mathel's build, because now Mathel's doing Brightbeak, Jug, Glacial Hammer.
Is he actually?
He is. He just uploaded a video before we started.
Ah,
It doesn't look that terrible, to be honest. Basically, anything this league sort of works, so it's just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, that's true.
So for like an
Just putting
actual
5
build,
jewels.
yeah, what are you doing, MP?
Oh, I'm just doing maps, really. I played the Tornado Shot for the first time, but I realized that everybody has played Tornado Shot for years up to this point, but for me this was the first. And now I switched to the Poet's Pen floating red balls thing, volatile dead thing. It's pretty fun so far.
I don't really get how that works because I haven't had one yet. I don't really get how it works. Does it
It
like?
just basically casts whatever spell is socketed into it whenever you attack. So you attack, and I have like Unearth and Body Swap. So the first cast makes a bunch of corpses, and then the next cast teleports me to that corpses. So that's my movement ability. And then on my other hand, I also have a Poet's Pen, and that one has the Volatile Dead in it. So every time there is
Oh,
3 or
God.
4 balls that seek out targets. So it's like a cooler looking SRS while also just moving around with ones and teleporting. It's a little bit clunky, but it's been pretty fun so far.
Just don't
Yeah.
do what I did by trying to roleplay Uber and doing it as a necro. Because I was like, oh, because so the way it works is it has like cooldown caps. It's like cast on crit, so you
Oh, yeah,
need to
it
hit
does.
certain attack speed thresholds.
Yeah.
So I was
need
like,
cooldown recovery.
yeah, oh, if I'm a
Yeah.
necro, because every time you consume a corpse, you gain ramping attack speed. So every time you volatile dead, you get more and more attack speed. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
I'll get like 8 attack speed super easy. I had so much attack speed that it would
Too
start
much.
skipping the chain.
Yeah,
So-
that's happening. It's been
Well-
posted, like the
Yeah.
animation skip bug. I guess it's out there.
There's also a confirmed bug, and they're actually like aware of it and probably working on it. That around like before you even hit the 4 or 8
Oh,
attacks per
God.
second thing, uh,
Sorry.
it actually starts skipping before that. So
Yeah.
it's like 3.85.
Yeah.
It starts skipping the cast.
And the problem is that
I
I have
oh. Go on,
It's
go on.
it's really weird and it's super inconsistent because on a non-necro with like 3.85, it's like cast skip skip
Yeah.
cast skip, and then it repeats the last four. It's
Seriously,
really weird.
for a straight like week and a half, because okay, so my first build of the league was just like boring Ancestral Warchief. My second build was Poet's Penny when it was still kind of fresh, and it felt amazing for leveling. I'm like, what is this amazing Glowy Brain build? I start mapping with it. It then starts skipping. I have got like 3 videos of me like saying, why doesn't this work? I was literally like, I was ending the stream, like having calls with my grill, and rather than talking to her, I just be like, dude, I just can't get this bug. Maybe this makes sense to you because she's not a gamer. And then I'd end the call, and I'd be lying in bed, and I'm just like, so do I need to get over 8 attacks? Because it breaks at 7. And genuinely, I was just like, okay, every day I'd start stream, guys, it doesn't work. And then I'd sit in my hideout, and then I was like, I could try and fix this, or I could just flip them, because when I bought them, they were 10C, and then they were like 60C each, and I had 3. I was also buying multiple with different colors, so I could try different setups. So it's like, I could just sell them all, and then just go play a normal... Yeah, I'm just going to sell them all and go play Tornado Shot. So, yeah, fuck that build. Like, oh my god.
Pretty good hologram Master Farmer, though.
Yeah, I've watched Red Eye rip it. Like, I mean, I've watched Red Eye play it a lot, and yeah.
Wait, Red Eye died?
He's died like 3 times.
Yeah, he got like a permastun or something too, like.
Okay, well.
Yeah, but he's like crit immune with like 10k HP.
No, it's a really good build. It's just funny because it's just Red Eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been up to, Karv?
Dude, I died to the strange barrel.
I haven't died this year once, so that's a good thing.
This year.
This guy.
Oh, and I
Nice.
actually finished the Chevron farming. I got
Oh,
it
you already
yesterday.
got the shavs?
Yeah, I got it yesterday, and I got a like another offering card already today. So I'm probably
Okay.
gonna
Yes, nice.
I'm probably
I gotta-
gonna have 2 of them before I even 5 link the first chest. I'm like 300 and something views without the 5 link on it too.
I gotta ask you, do you feel like Tribunal is dropping more offering cards than like Scriptorium?
Hard to say. I wasn't really getting any offer the Scriptorium. So like out of the 9, 7 is from Tribunal.
Hard to tell.
But it's
Yeah.
pretty hard to tell because I run probably like, I don't know, if I run like 50 maps, 45 of them are Tribunals.
Were you running all of them twinned?
At the start, I didn't because I was scared of the boss because it has so much more randomness than Scriptorium.
Yeah.
Then I like was like alking them and just going normally, and then I got like a 1 twinned map. I was like, it's like min-max and something. I was like, let's try it once, and then just, I don't know, SRS and the Spectres just like destroyed them instantly. So after that, I started twinning them. But the problem is like you start with like 700 alts, then you roll 10 maps and you don't have any alts anymore, and like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe we don't do this anymore.
Yeah, it seems like it's really easy to farm up shavs from Tribunal because before it was just Scriptorium, and now I was like, I saw Karv running the stuff. I was like, let's just run Tribunal, and it's not even shaped or anything. And I got like 3 cards in a matter of like 20 maps. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, I had
pretty
the
good.
same experience. Like, it's so common. It's actually kind of weird.
It was the same last league as well, because last league, so in hardcore they were still setting something. Last league they were like 5C and softcore, but I was running them with my friend, and we were like, this layout was AIDS, we're never doing this again. But in the like 5 maps that we did, we got 5 cards, and I was like, okay, that seems pretty good. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be easier to farm without even like just shaping them, because it's so much easier to sustain running lower maps. Like I just couldn't like run the Scriptoriums. I just couldn't get them to drop. It's the only problem.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, Raiz, you can get it in tower too, and I would assume you can still get it in core.
Tower, that's a good map. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you can get it in tower now?
Yeah,
That's
Go
crazy.
Shape
Holy
tower.
crap.
yeah.
Wait,
There's
can you
like
shape tower this league? What
yeah, you
tier
can
is
make it in a
Oh
14.
hell yeah!
Ew.
D9.
0 at Sextants.
I think someone said that they farmed the chevrons in towers. I was like, why?
God, why?
Yeah, that's a pretty painful map.
That sounds like a slippery gym video. Like whenever someone says something like that, I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna ignore anything you say from this point on.
Yeah, well, those are good videos, dude. He got the shaped headhunter, so he knows his things, dude.
That's so good.
Hey, I mean, I was about to recreate one of his videos running cells. I was trying to get Elder on cells, and I shaped it. So.
No, dude. You know what's the true thing? You shape Gauge, and then you fully sextant block it, and you get like 6 link in like, I don't know, 10 maps or something.
That was an idea I had. Except Cage like never wants to drop me chains up on. I don't know why.
I like how while all of this is going on, CuteDog's just internally screaming. It's like, can these SSF idiots just run good
like,
maps?
Shaped power, shaped cells. What is happening? Get me out of here.
It's cool. It's all good. Just play whatever you want. Yeah.
So what have you been up to then, CuteDog?
Recently I've just been running the same 2 maps over and over. Strand, Shanties. Really enjoying it. Played started league with like Essence Drain, did a little Cost Breeze Discharge, did a little Vol Fireball, and now I'm playing an Auto Bomber. And it's a lot of fun. Just like messing around with the Atlas, spending the monies, seeing what feels good, seeing what doesn't feel good, having a lot of fun, regardless of all the this is bad, this is good, you have to do this, you don't have to do this, all that stuff.
Have you actually been experimenting with the Atlas, like going up or just running shaped stuff? Because you're saying you're just running 2 maps.
No, yeah, I'm just running Shape Strand and then Shape Shanties, and the stuff that I'm experimenting with is like testing out Zana and like which ones are like can you lose money if you're doing like whatever Zana you want? Can you lose money if you're going full potato, voling all your maps, doing like any kind of currency investment you want on your maps? And short answer is just no, you really can't if you have a shape strategy. And it's been kind of fun to like see that, right? Because if you ask somebody like what would I do, right, in the league, right, if I could, right, they'd be like, well, I'd want as many monsters in the map as possible, and obviously you would want to run some kind of like juicy Zana mod on every map if you could, and how you actually can if you like to trade, I guess. So kind of cool.
That's
have you done
scary.
much with Fortune Favors the Brave? Like, have you messed around with that much, or?
I tested it out like one day. It just wasn't consistent enough.
Yeah.
I guess like you save money, sure. If you get like a domination or a breach on a map where it's actually good, it's like, yeah, like cool, but like save like a couple chaos, like okay. Whereas like if you're looking for XP, like the Beyond is like for certain right there for you. If you really want to like play with breach, that's right there. You can like, I think it's much better to just choose, because like if you get like exiles or like essences, I'm just like you might as well not have done it, right? Like to me at least.
You guys notice essences being a lot rarer this league, you think? Or is it just me like noticing that? Because they put it in Zana 7 now instead of Nemesis, right? And I feel like I'm finding much less essences, like in general, just mapping. No?
I don't
noticed it.
I feel like I get a lot more corruptions. Like a lot
Corruptions,
more
yeah.
corruptions.
Same. I get more of that for sure.
I had like 2 the entirety of last league, and this league I've got like 9 already. It's like pretty crazy, which is great.
Then again, I'm I haven't noticed a difference, but I'm comparing also to the last league that was played, which was Mayhem, and essences were actually like stupid rare in Mayhem.
Yeah, that's because like they have like I guess like maps have like this special like location where they can spawn things. So whenever you spawn a shrine or strongbox or something like that, a location, it can't spawn like essence anymore. Like they need like a certain amount of space.
They need a space.
Yeah.
And Mayhem just basically gives them that space.
I think Abyss might do the same thing. That might feel like we're getting less of them, because Abyss is like using up the special number of thingies. I don't know.
Yeah, yet they still overlap with Breach for some reason.
Yeah. Actually, but then
Diet breaches.
You often get the thing where like you have an abyss spawn like directly on top of an essence and a breach. So maybe maybe that isn't true because I've had quite a few cases where it's literally on the exact same spot. So I'm guessing he ignores that.
Yeah, I've had Abyss Line go through essence smoke for sure.
Yeah, same here.
It's because you guys run two good maps. I've only been running strands, and there's a lot of free
other
space
place for
everywhere.
them to
And, yeah.
Makes sense.
Out of interest, have you found Strand? Because I know CuteDog's done a lot of it.
I'm kidding. Fuck that. Sorry.
Dude, Strand's badass. If you don't mind having to trade for, if you don't mind having to trade for Sextants, like let's say you're starting from 0, you'll trade like 3 times more for Strand Sextants than for Channy Sextants, because like the channels, like on average I was using 6 for every 3 maps, and then on Strands it would be like, I don't know, like 10, sometimes 11, and it was like really bad. So
because there's like no blocking for it.
Yeah, so you got to trade a lot. So I guess it's only like twice as much, but still it's annoying. But it is like when you do it and you put on like your Bisco's leash, you want to count some monsters, a lot of monsters, a whole lot of monsters.
And you know when you don't do it and you put on the Bisco's leash, you see 200 at the end by the time you get to the boss room.
It's like yeah, I mean it's like probably like 3 or 4 times less or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really.
Have you done any stats? How much time you spend actually just putting the Sextants on the strand versus running the 3 strands and then
there's. Well, I will say this, like, it's a tier 9, right? And I get the same XP as running fully Sextant channels, and then also with gems. I mean, obviously everyone can't play the whole day, but the greater part of the day is now what it takes for Beyond its Strand to get your gems from 1 to 20. If you want to do that, it's like super casual, way faster than channels. The gem XP is just like, like I've never been able to do 1 to 20 in a day, right? And I play a lot. And like even on stream, I can get to like, 1 to like 19 and a half in a stream. It's just like, what? Why is that like a thing, I guess, if you invest in it? So.
Mine is slow. It took like 6 hours last league on Oasis with 1 fight.
Oasis is nerfed now, right? Some people have.
Yeah, I haven't tried it, but
the boss sucks and the density feels.
I mean, you never go to kill the boss. You just like do the run around. But I've heard that I haven't really run it, but I heard some people.
It's not a circle anymore.
Yeah, and like the getting to the entrance, it can like have been like multiple screens from entrance to like the actual first back when the area starts. So it's probably gonna be like Harbor Bridge or something like that now.
That's the Desert Springs map, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I ran.
Did they put the Scorpion there?
A lot of that.
Yep.
And it is.
God.
So I was like, oh, I'm playing Namahu Cyclone. I have a bunch of these that I kind of want to run. It's a really open map. I'm playing Cyclone. It will maybe feel bad. It feels so fucking bad. And the boss genuinely.
Quicksand.
Get stuck in a fucking wall.
It's just like, okay, so you have the boss. You insta-phase it, because, bosses have, like, no HP now, for some reason.
The new ones.
And then it goes underground. You walk up to it. It goes, and then you walk 2 steps. It goes, and it does
repeat
this,
like 7
times.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh.
They added the best and the worst like boss. I think like the Lich design is really cool. The one with the spikes, and he has like really cool abilities. You go to like those little phases and stuff, charge flask, whatever. And then they added the Scorpion. Like that, the gauntlet part of the Scorpion is like so bad.
It's so pointless.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I hate to be the devil's advocate here, to be honest, because it's kind of shitty, but it's such a cool fight at the same time. Like,
it is.
I mean,
can't we have like one normal fight?
Yeah. I'm not debating the first and the third phase. It's the middle part where you have to go through that ass.
The middle part takes
the fight
takes as much time as killing the boss.
It's not scary either, though, right? Because I haven't done it on the big map, but it doesn't seem like...
I haven't even taken damage, I don't think, from that gauntlet phase. Like, I play with 3.8k health. Like, it never killed me. It's just boring. Like, you have to go through that part.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, that I can get.
What makes it even worse, though, is that not only is it a stupidly long boss fight, because the boss room isn't near the end and it's a giant circle, you have to walk down this corridor, kill the boss, and like backtrack through this long corridor with like quicksand to then get back into clearing the map.
Yeah, if you haven't finished it, like if the boss is not the last thing you do, then
Okay.
Because
like,
again,
just
like
don't
think about it. It's a giant open circle, and it's usually like near the top right, top middle. So you kind of like do this outer ring, and then you can clear the middle, then go back up to the boss if you want to do it, or you like hug the wall, kill the boss, backtrack, then finish your circle.
Yeah, you can't
So-
do it like Dooms.
Yeah.
The worst
Right.
part for me was when like I was trying to do full Atlas when I was still in SSF. So I get this map, I get a decent corruption on it. I get to the boss and he gets stuck in a wall. Which is also I was trying to get the poison immunity Pantheon, so that was even worse. So it's like, come on, dude. Really?
Wait, so you couldn't kill him at all?
No, I couldn't kill him at all. He got stuck in a wall. He became completely immobile and completely immune to anything. I
my
couldn't
God.
hit him with anything.
Imagine if you're like vendoring like 27 maps or something to finally get it so you don't fuck up your your atlas and you
Oh my
get stuck in a wall. You spend like 6 years trying to get this thing. Oh my God.
Just buy the maps, it's easy.
Yeah, just gotta buy the maps.
Exactly. Forehead.
Yeah, still gotta remove it. That's some master sextants. Those are probably not cheap, you know?
Hey, looking back on it, it saved me 3 Master Sextants.
Wait,
I
why
switched
why
out
would
of
you why would
SSF.
you need to just roll twin and kill one of the bosses? Easy. That's how you get your Pantheon. No need
I don't
to
even
actually.
think you
Yeah,
can
you
roll
can do
twinned
that
on
too.
it. I don't
And then
Yeah,
you have
you
then you have
can't
some maps
run-
where you can't do it.
You can't run twinned
Oh.
on that and like Belfry, can you?
Yeah,
you can't run it on Belfry. I ran Shape Belfry like all of yesterday, and I never saw a twinned map.
No. Feels
I have a huge issue with phased boss fights in maps that people are supposed to farm. I don't know,
Ugh.
like Titan Belfry takes literally like more time to kill the boss than
Yeah.
to do anything. Like you can do like two laps on the whole map at the same time as you kill the boss.
I don't know.
Yeah, but
like I
what
did
would you do to
Belfry
make it work?
after I did Desert Springs, so it didn't feel that bad in comparison. But it is literally longer than the entire map, and then it drops nothing. So, yeah.
Well, what would you do? Like, would just increasing drops would be better, or do they need to provide XP too? Is it that as just simple as that? Would people actually do it? If it felt like kind of vault-like, maybe that at the end you've got like a bunch of shit.
Yeah,
I
I think
don't-
so.
I
Like,
really like the end, like the reward for boss, for vault map, right at the end.
I don't know
So-
why they've done that though. Like the fact that you have Vault Boss and then the Rower, and then I guess the Pirate guys where they have the chest at the end. Like they have these bosses where they have this thing at the end, but they're like really easy bosses. And then you have this like super long fight where you are forced into waiting through phases, and they give you nothing. It's like, wouldn't you do it the other way around or something? I
Yeah,
don't know.
boss loot is still kind of underwhelming. Like last league, they buffed the bosses, like you have so much more health than before, and then they're still kind of underwhelming, so people just started skipping them. This league, they feel easier, but they still don't drop too much. I mean, you can get the lucky map occasionally.
I feel
but,
I feel like this league, all the new bosses they added to maps have like 0 HP, and all the
Yeah.
old
Mhm.
ones still have their same HP.
yeah,
as
it's
they
just the
did in
phases
Liquid.
to go through.
Yeah, I
all
think
the
it
phases.
might be the phases. I don't know. But like, if you did Lava Lake at all, like Lava Lake Katava, oh shit, that sounds really nasty. And then you just go in and he gets down a quarter of his life in like 2 seconds, and you're like, oh, well, this isn't actually that bad.
That was one thing I found, because everyone was like, oh shit, map Katava is going to be so scary. And then it's like one cyclone spin, insta-phase, one cyclone spin, cyclone, the map's, okay. That was, I haven't done Brine King. Like, is the Brine King in Atlas scary at all, or?
Oh, it's
It's the
T15,
same.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I don't even know where it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
we've-
okay.
top left.
It's called like the
Yeah.
it's like the sea lion or whatever.
I
the
even
Pantheon.
found Doedrian Wastepool. Some people say that's super rippy. I even found that one was pretty like face roll, because you can
Yeah.
just kill it.
It's manageable.
Yeah.
It's shaped waste pool that's kind of I think Dodre gets super tanky in Shape Waste Pool. But Shape Waste Pool is like XP heaven. It's so good for XP.
Some might even say that it's the highest XP in the game. Because you can
Probably.
you can Sextant block for 2 places if you're playing like a Cyclone build. It's pretty good. I was talking with Gucci about that the other day, and yeah, it might be that it's actually the best XP. An indoor map.
Wait, what? Vault isn't better XP? What?
Mm?
Go read Reddit. Vault is...
Vault's only
7
comparable to
Sextants.
Waste Pool if you put 6 Sextants on it. Which, why?
I'm
I mean, what would you
curious
say is the second best? I would say Fields, probably.
Well, a
Fields.
lot of
yes.
this depends what build
Fields is
you're playing,
amazing.
though. Like, it's all down to like the build you're playing, like indoor, outdoor, and stuff.
Yeah.
Wait, you're not playing Light Poacher? What do you mean?
I know, because like, okay, so I was gonna ask a question before, and so like I'm playing Cyclone at the moment, and I was like, oh, let's go Waste Pool because the XP's so good. But then I'm like, hang on, I mostly play like bow builds and shit. Am I really gonna play like Chain Fork Tornado Shot in Waste Pool? No, let's probably not do that as my Atlas.
Just switch
setup.
to Lightning Arrow.
No, I don't want to do that, man. Like, that'd be like saying to
You're playing
CuteDog,
the game
I
wrong
know.
then,
No,
Tarke.
that'd be like
Start
saying
playing the
CuteDog,
game
like,
right. What are
hey,
you
hey,
doing?
Q, do you really need the Headhunter? Like, do you really? You're missing out on all these really cool Abyssal Jewels. And he's gonna be like, you're right, I should be turning you some of these Abyssal Jewels, man. And let me just get rid of this trash belt. But, since you mentioned Vault, from hardcore Uber, I think you could agree it's definitely not worth doing. But, like,
Yeah.
MP and CuteDog, is Vault actually worth doing in softcore?
I actually haven't done Vault. Yeah, that's MP.
Yeah, I've done Vault like for the first 2 weeks, 2.5, maybe even 3 weeks of the league. I mean, yeah, I would say if just purely from Vault, we've farmed around 2.5 mirrors. 8 exalts. Okay.
Wait,
It's
you
pretty
mean
good.
just like from Exalt drops?
Yeah, no, well, card drops. Yeah, from Vault.
Drop a lot.
What? That's like
Party play too, so
I
it's
would
like
say it's
huge
worth it.
quantity.
Solo
What?
party,
It's a
yeah,
bit
2
iffy.
player.
Yeah, party
yeah.
play. Party play is one of the things that makes Vault way more worth it. Because like if you're collectively as a group like combining all your cards and combining all the currency.
Oh
that
no,
you
it's
get.
that's me and
Yeah.
a support. Like there's 2 of us. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
yeah, but you mean just the cards, or do you mean
Yeah.
like everything altogether?
Well, no, everything altogether. We
Okay.
converted everything we farmed to exalts, and then we bought
Right.
mirrors from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
what? How are you getting these cards? I saw you guys were
Yeah.
farming like breaches and stuff too.
Yeah,
So,
breaches.
like-
It's we got Zona 8 in day 3, I think, and then
Jeez.
from then we just did vaults with double breach, and then whenever we got the good, not prophecies, sextants for it, then we did monstrous treasure.
So here's the other question: how many sections do you use on it?
7, or what do you mean? Oh, you mean like average how many rolls?
Do you like fully sextant it, or
Yeah.
do you?
Start with a red and then do 6 yellows, right? Yeah, 6 yellows, 1 red.
Because I've personally thought that and I've seen other people do this too. It's like you only really need 3 sextants on it, and you'll start getting more than you.
Oh yeah, of course. It was more than like we just sold vaults. Like if we had over
Yeah.
20, we just sold the rest, and we sold, I don't know, 30 to 50 vaults a day, I guess. Like when they were 13C each. So that's also a good additional profits, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sitting
so
on like
you
40 of
can
them.
sustain maps, right?
Oh,
That's what
so
you're
I
saying?
heard. Yeah, I think it's
Because
possible.
before I heard something about bosses dropping
Yeah.
maps and they're not being worth it, and then now
Well,
you
the
can
good thing
sustain
about
maps.
Vault is that once the boss is dead, you still have additional loot, and if you kill it fast enough, you have a lot more additional loot. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I like actually, like about bosses. Like Vault is like the only map I think that rewards you killing the boss faster, right? Any other map it doesn't matter. Other than you can start the next map faster. But in Vault actually every 10 seconds or so the boss will actually remove a pile with an ad. So that's actually pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of a unique map in that respect.
This might hurt your head a little bit, but I was power farming Vault last league in a duo, and we were skipping the boss. Because we worked out that it was just better XP for us just to skip the boss.
Dude, I had no idea that the gold piles give damage boost. I learned
Yeah, you
that
have to
this
stand
league.
in, yeah.
Yeah. I
Wait,
learned that-
what?
Yeah,
You
it's
stand in the
50%
gold
damage
pile.
buff. You can check the wiki,
Yeah.
it's there. And it works for the boss too. So that's why if you stand on a pile and he jumps you, you can get like one shot it because it works. It's crazy. I had no idea.
Wait, the lootable gold piles that
Yeah,
you get
the
after, or
loot
just
they
side
give you
the gold
damage.
pile?
that he destroys to make ants give you 50% multiplicative damage bonus.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
insane.
it's crazy.
The fuck? But he gets it too, is what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's you put a decoy totem on the pile and then you just hope that he doesn't hit you.
exactly. He
Wow.
seems to destroy the closest one always. We've experimented with a lot about this, or with my support. Like we always made sure that I put my totem and he puts a totem and he stands in one and I go on another one so that we force him to do the other pile that I'm not standing on. But it seems kind of random. Like he still sometimes destroyed my pile, even though like he
Yeah.
should destroy the other one. Like it seems pretty random.
It is pretty random.
Mm.
Like there's another random thing that I can't reproduce at all, but sometimes for some people, he likes to go under instantly. Like I don't.
I've never seen that actually. He
I've
always does some other stuff before he goes under.
Yeah,
I've never
yeah,
even had him go under. Like
Oh shit.
I mean
What do
that's
you mean
why.
go under?
like
Wait, what?
Yeah,
he goes under and then he starts doing like the evangelist like explosions from the ground
you
or
get the
whatever.
AoE explosions.
I've never seen
I guess it never happens if you kill him.
Yeah,
fast
if
enough.
you like, he does like 5-10 things. Like he does an ad, he does a melee, he does a jump, he does something, and then if you still didn't kill him, he just goes under, and then the ads stay up, but he just does like random explosions all around the place, and then he comes back, and he
They
destroys the
hurt
pile again.
too.
It's very
Yeah,
very
yeah,
nice
yeah,
AoE map.
It's like the
Okay.
physical Sextant mob bubbles, except not bubbles. Sorry, the AoEs on the ground, like this golden
Yeah,
circle.
It's like
The
Evangelist.
evangelist. Yeah.
Maybe it has
Key
to
boss.
do with range or something. I don't know.
I
Because I've
don't-
been
I don't
only playing
know.
melee builds, and
Oh.
he never did that for me ever.
When I was farming
I-
it last league, it only did that if I didn't just like instantly kill it. So it's just like if you kill it in like less than
Oh, so
3,
you're saying
5
my builds
seconds.
are too good.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Right.
Yeah, but some people I know of, like one of my friends had it where he kept going under for him in like 2 seconds after the fight started. And it was like, what? Lago said he had the same problem too. So
Why
I
is
don't
Volt
know
such
what
a
causes it
randomly
at
cool
all.
map? That's so weird. It has so many different things that.
Yeah, like it has the like you have to open those doors.
Holy
Like okay,
crap,
there
it
is
has
there's the
mechanics.
triple moss Malachi. Yeah, but it's like super unique map, and now they put it in like the perfect place where like insane sextant blocking range, and then you can put 7 sextants on it, and it's like it's shaped to 14, like it's pretty high. Like, I don't know.
Imagine if that's the reason
Yeah,
why
Sure.
some people consider the Atlas a little bit fucked up. Because GGG has like, what's our best map? And Johnny, who designed Vol, he's like, me, Vol, it's Vol. It's like, wait, that's like the only map with any interesting mechanics in the entire game. Okay, kill it. Boom,
2
everybody's
different
running.
exalt cards. Yeah.
It really
Uh,
does
Sure.
feel though like it was made by an intern who was trying really hard to get a job. It really
Yeah,
does
yeah.
feel like it's like okay,
hope
I've
he
got
got the
one
job.
day. I've got to
Wow.
impress Daddy Chris. Let's go, yeah.
One day it's like 2 months of somebody's life just sweating all day designing this shit. Yeah, but I mean, it works. It's so unique, especially with the buffs and everything. So many things that you don't really see. With
Maybe
the
it's,
gold piles disappearing.
Maybe it's Grinding Gear's way to promote party play.
Hmm.
How so? Wait, I don't get it.
Because like,
I mean,
Alright,
one
if you
really cool
watch-
thing you can do, sorry, CuteDog, in party play. So this is when me and Kane were min maxing it. Is that one of you? The support always runs for the leather, meaning the carry has optimal cornering. It's really nice when you have it like that. So it's the perfect group play map in that sense. MP
Do
might
you-
know. Do you know what I mean? Though, like the support always goes one way, you always go the other way. It's nice.
Do you
natural
always
race
listen to
progression.
Deja Vu when you do that?
Yeah.
When he's drifting around the corner.
Gas,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just like blast like Tokyo Drift as we go around. Just like, oh, it's so slick. But yeah. So to get off that topic, and to talk about something really fun, since people are confused, CuteDog, can you please explain what Atlas completion actually does?
yeah, you take the number in the middle, you divide by 100, and that is your average, like, increase in tiers over, whatever maps you're doing. That's all it is. It doesn't drop more maps. It's just an average shift up. If you have 100 or more, you can't drop tier 1 maps unless you're doing a tier 1 map. Still obeys monster level rules. Whites plus 0s, glowies plus 1s, boss plus 2s. It can't like go like +4 or like +3.
Yeah.
I think I'm sorry. I think what the people are like confused by is that people say that you get more maps. You kind of get more of the higher maps. Like you get more of the maps that you want because you want like the higher maps, right? So like by proxy, by doing that number, you get more maps, but you don't actually get like more number of maps. It's a higher chance to upgrade to a higher tier, which is what you want in general. So
Like, if you're running like tier 14 maps or something, just look at all the T13s you get from those maps, and then like if you have like 100 Atlas bonus, you can be like, oh, if I had 130, then like 30% of those would be tier 14s instead.
Yeah.
And it's better to have higher level maps because higher level maps are way better with more mobs, right?
Like strand, like channel.
Yeah, here's the one thing I didn't get is you said you get more tiers. Is it more tiers as in you're crying because you're getting all these crappy non-shaped red maps, or are you talking about actual map tiers?
Let's filter out the bad ones. You don't.
I am actually kind of interested if someone was going to come up with a point where you actually want the lowest completion possible, so that you're not upgrading. Because I know there's kind of that thing where because CuteDog knows what I'm talking about with channel, right? It's like with channel, you kind of don't really want to have a tier 11 because it messes with your channel drops. I really wouldn't be surprised if like Baked just starts to stream one day and he's got literal like Atlas completion 1, and the only map he has is channel.
Arcade fun.
Yeah, but then you can't sextant.
Oh, true, yeah, I guess.
Rip.
Never mind, rip that idea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, there's strategy where
7.
you can go shape vault and then, or not shape vault. You don't shape vault and you complete orchard and then you shape orchard, and then that's your only T9. So you can't drop any T9 other than vault. That is an actual thing.
You can actually get shaped orchard without shaping orchard. Did you know? This league, it's new. If you get the corrupted thing, and because they changed the thing that where you render up maps, you properly get the shaped version of the higher map now. So shape orchard can actually drop from vault boss or vault rare magic monsters without actually shaping it.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I've gotten shape. I have
corrupted?
shaped orchards, and I've never shaped orchard.
Oh no, that's
if it corrupts itself.
You're talking about shape vault though.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. This is with no shape vault.
Okay.
You shape orchard and have vault as your only T9, and you don't shape it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's talking about making an orchard into a T15, and then there's no adjacent T10s to vault anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense, but what Empy is talking about, you're saying that if you corrupt a map, it can drop the shaped orchard out of a shaped vault?
Yes. I've 100% found shaped orchards, and I've never shaped orchard. Why would I, right? I don't even think I ever shaped a T15 this league.
Wow,
It's the same thing with new.
Weird. Yeah.
It's the same thing with the new system with trading up shape maps. Like
Yeah.
It's because so you drop the vault, but because it's corrupt, it can go to the orchard.
Right.
Yeah, because it can go up a tier.
Yeah.
I got a shape residence from a shape field dropping in a items drop corrupted map. Yeah. So the worst is if you get a corrupted T15, because that can corrupt into a T11 because of the bug fix that they had.
Yeah,
so you never want to corrupt a T15 or a T15 shaped.
But then, okay, I don't know if this is even on the topic list, to be honest, but then do you guys like the new system? It seems like it's a lot more consistent with a lot of this stuff versus, like, for instance, how you were to acquire Shaper Orbs in the past, where it was specific maps, and basically a lot of the times you were like, please, Encroaching Darkness, give me this map so I don't have to fucking chain travel all the way if you were SSF. Otherwise, just buy the map. But do you like this more? I mean, I guess for players who would previously just buy the map, now they kind of have to put in a little bit of work.
It feels worse for trade leagues, but it's obviously better for SSF guys. The thing which annoys me about it, and I could be completely wrong on this system, because I've been really casual this league. I've barely, like, my highest level is, like, barely even 92, so I've, like, barely played at all this league. It's just kind of like, you just dick around on the Atlas until eventually Shaper turns up, and then you just do whatever map it is which gives you the shape thing. And it just feels like there's a lot of just waiting until you get the stuff dropping for you. Whereas before, you could just, like, in a day, power farm, set up your Atlas, and you're ready. Whereas now it's just like, you just have to map until eventually everything pops up. Am I correct in saying that?
Elder doesn't just pop up. It comes on your first yellow map that is influenced by Shaper after you've done enough like normal, like white Shaper maps. Like I was waiting to get Shaper influence on either Wharf or Academy so I could get the Elder on that corner because I wanted to do the Atlas progression on that corner. So you can force your first Elder on your Atlas with that. Just when
smart.
Yeah, so if like you can do a T6 map if it doesn't have Shaper influence, but if it has Shaper influence, then you can get the Elder Pop there.
Are you talking about Shaper's orbs spawning, like the memory fragments?
No, we're talking about the very very first.
Oh, okay.
When you're starting the Atlas, you're running maps, and you have the mission where you're supposed to do like the Shaper's influence map. And then Elder pops on the you get your first memory fragment. I don't know if it's confirmed, but can you get it like I'm pretty sure you can get it on a T7 or even higher, but it usually starts on like T6 unless you're buying your maps. Just has to be a Shaper influence map.
Do you have to do the memory fragments in order, by the way? Because I wasn't sure about that. It seems like you have to do it in order. So even if you get it, then you're still not going to drop a fragment. That's pretty fucked up, because imagine if you don't know about Shaper orbs and you like somehow don't get Elder on a T6 and now you're progressing up, you're like, there's a possibility you're never going to find a Shaper orb, no?
Well, your first Shaper orb is going to be from the T6.
Yeah, but what if you just never have Elder on a T6?
So what you're saying, you never run a map that is influenced by Shaper? Yeah, then it never
by
pops.
Elder. I mean, either one.
It could happen. Like a noob could like, they just run all the maps they get that drop and like random ones, and it keeps pushing back and forth, so it never expands there, I guess.
No, but that's the thing. Like if you don't get the Shaper maps, then because you need to get a little bit of them at least, right? It's not just like you get into a yellow map and you get an Elder.
Yeah, you need like a little bit of Elder needs to expand for that blue.
No. I mean, like, to spawn Elder, do you actually have to fight Shaper previously, or do you get to yellow maps and then Elder is always there, no matter if you haven't fought Shaper before? You have to fight Shaper, right?
You have
when
to
you
run
say
a
fight
Shaper
Shaper, you mean
first
Shaper
you fight
maps,
Shaper.
not like kill
Shaper influence
You're talking about
map.
Shaper influence maps.
You mean
Right?
Shaper
Yeah,
influence
of
maps?
course.
Yeah.
Your first
No, I'm just
Elder...
saying, like, what if you never fight Shaper, right? You clear your Atlas and you never fight Shaper, and now you get to tier 7 maps. You can't spawn Elder, but you can't get the
I mean, then you
things.
spawn it by just running a Shaper influence map.
Yeah,
but what if you don't know about it? If you don't know about
why would
Shaper...
you not run Shaper influence map if you're someone who doesn't know anything about the system?
Like, okay, the fact that we're talking about
there's
this...
more items in there. Let's not do it.
Checkmate. Shit. I'm sure there's somebody who's like,
well, you can avoid it.
First time now hearing about Shaper orbs, okay, and he's running like red maps. That must happen to somebody, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look at your Atlas and there is like, oh, this beautiful, sparkly, shiny thing. Okay, I'm never gonna run that map.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not touching that. I don't know what that is. I'm not gonna do that.
Hey man, hardcore players, leave us alone, all right, dude?
I mean, just since we're talking about it now, do people like prefer this new system over the old system out of interest?
You mean the new Atlas?
It's the same thing,
Are you talking about the obtaining of the orbs?
Oh.
The obtaining of the orbs and the whole...
Or Atlas in general?
They're like... Okay, let's backtrack. Let's backtrack like really far. Okay.
Start from the very start.
Let's start from the very beginning. Okay, hi guys, Tarke here. We're joining Baeclast episode 17. We've got Uber Elite, Empyrean, Karv, CuteDog, and Raiz. So, can we just quickly say, with the introduction of Atlas originally, the original Atlas, what was improved over pre-Atlas mapping and then from that we can then talk about what's improved from War of the Atlas.
Everything.
So, everything, do you say, Karv?
Yeah, the pre-Atlas was just you were running maps and you were buying those specific maps and you just run those maps and you hope that you got those good maps back. Then we got Atlas and now you kind of, you can actually.
Or you sustained the map that you wanted.
Yeah,
to
you can
sustain.
actually run the map that you want to run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You can do that now as well, but
and
you
it's
just need to sextant.
CuteDog, just like take a leap into the past and think about running maps without being able to run the same map all the time.
Dude, I've been playing this game for like 5 years, dude.
Yeah.
I used to buy like shipyards for like an exalt.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
like it's just insane. Like
Yeah.
the randomness is like probably Atlas is good, dude. Atlas is fine. Even now, like if you take a look at there's only been 2 iterations of Atlas, right? And of course they like adjust the drop rates and stuff like behind the scenes, I'm sure, just like they do with like the currencies and what they've said with like items and stuff. But I feel like there's more to do, if you want to chase Shaper Elder, you can still kill Guardians. Now you have Elder Guardians. You can still kill whatever you want, there is more to do now than before. It's just I think people are complaining now because like more people are just realizing that there's shape strategies and there's sextant blocking and stuff. And like once everyone learns that, then they feel bad that they weren't doing it right. And I feel like there's a lot of sour grapes. Like I'm fine without it, and I've been okay, doing X, Y, and Z thing, and so I don't need it. And it's just like.
But at the same time, why don't I have as much currency as CuteDog?
Right.
I just want to run variety maps with no investment, but I also want to have 150x. Like you can't have both ways, like right?
I think it's definitely like what you said there, CuteDog, where it's like this has been an issue, I would say, since the original like Atlas launch, but it took so long for people to kind of like get their heads around it, and now it's kind of like the main spread thing.
Because I mean, it's still an issue because like in everyone's chat here. You get questions about, hey, I have your exact same Atlas, I can't sustain, or I have this, I can't sustain, and you're just like, and they're like, I literally copied your Atlas, and we're like, okay, so the entire chat's like, are you sex block? Like, yes. Are you using chisels? Yes. Are you using alchemies? Yes.
It's the Bisco.
and then like they're like I'm literally exactly the same. I'm like, okay, did you do a test of like 2 maths or something? And they're like, no, I did 20 and I got 2 maths back. And then everyone's just like what? Like there's no way. There's absolutely no way.
I always tell these people, record it and put it on Reddit. You'll get so much karma. Like it's impossible. Like you can't put 100 maps and go down in currency. Like it's just not possible. Currency cup it and just do a test.
It's insane. But like the fact that exists and it's like it comes up every 10, 20 minutes in chat is like you're like, man, like something's going on, right? There's like either people don't understand it correctly or like there's just I don't know.
So you don't think that's the case? You disagree with these people?
I really like the idea that there's this one guy who's made like a troll filter, and somehow it's spread far enough that enough people use it that like it just doesn't show maps past like tier 8. So it's like, dude, like I'm running this vault setup, I'm buying all these sextants, but I'm just not getting anything past tier 8. And then it's got like some clever algorithm where like once an hour it just re-enables maps again, just so like, oh, so they are dropping.
There is the problem with NeverSync's filter at the start because they changed the shape map system, so like the drop level of maps were messed up, and so like tier 8 shaped maps were like appearing as crappy map drops.
Yeah.
Because they were like listed as like a tier 3. And you would drop them in like a tier 9 map, and it would look like a shitty map.
I mean, to be fair, like when they first announced the Shaper and Elder system, I said that, oh, this might actually be kind of bad because there'll be a few people with old filters who are gonna like miss out on all this cool new shit. I was like, Tarke, that's stupid. Sure, NeverSync's known about this for 20 years. He's already got the filter prepared and ready to go. And then when the new shape thing turned out, I was like, Told you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I was pretty shocked because I was one of those people. I was like, seriously, guys, you really think GGG wouldn't talk to the person with the most popular filter? Would they really do something like, come on, guys, use your brain, idiots? And then it actually happened. I'm just like,
Idiot.
Yeah.
idiot. It's love, idiot.
I mean,
I explicitly remember that because I mentioned it on Baeclast and Raiz like, Tarke, shut the fuck up, you dumb cunt. Like, literally word for word. It was like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And the second it happened, I had a very happy chuckle. It was like, I told them, I said it was going to happen, but they didn't listen to me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had too much faith in GGG. You know, they pay me too much guap, dude. I can't say anything else. I'm paid off. Sorry, guys. It's coming out.
but yeah, I think Atlas was definitely an improvement before over pre-Atlas. I think this new system with like the whole Shaper and Elder stuff, it needs fine tuning.
Oh
say the
yeah.
least.
Yeah.
It needs hella fine tuning.
You think so?
I'm almost sustaining Shape Belfry with 102 Atlas. Like, how? And you compare that to somebody with like 150 Atlas, and they're probably like barely sustaining T12. And it's like, what?
Mm.
Yeah.
So basically, the argument is that shaped maps are just too powerful, and everybody else who's just messing around is really missing out. Because that was the case for you, Nat. Because you
Yeah.
were fully clearing on SSF, and then like you died or something, and you were just like, "Yep, I'm done. I'm out." And you just like,
Yeah, I'm like,
switch.
I'm out. This Atlas, like, full clearing Atlas sucks. Screw this, dude. I'm
The
out.
thing, like I don't know, like, could you ever sustain non-shaped maps properly? Like the connections always fuck it up, right? No?
Like, in Essence League, I was sustaining T12 super easily. I could run them blue if I
Okay.
wanted.
I mean, last
Huh.
league,
Holy
we were
shit.
sustaining Vault, and Vault wasn't shaped. It was, sometimes you would have, like, a dry spell, but, like, we were power farming, like, 12 hours a day, every day, and we would sometimes drop down to Spider Forest, but we were sustaining it pretty well.
Like-
Last league, as in Harbinger, the league where you could just upgrade all of your maps into T16s.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a
That was
minute.
Harbinger.
chaos
No
Yeah,
wonder
yeah.
it was easy to sustain.
I mean, yeah, because at the same time, we were also sustaining minnow farming, so, yeah, it was kind of easy
Yeah,
to
I had
sustain
a
maps
full
and
tap of the Guardians. It's all self-found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were 5C
This
or
is
right then. So,
crazy.
like it's
Like, the Atlas this league, the power of Elder influencing really started showing when Isla, the first SSF 100, SSF Hardcore 100, was snapshotting Elder in the lab, and he's just sustaining maps so much better. And I'm talking to Oscarman, and
The number
He's
2
like-
guy. Who was
Yeah.
No, he was still first
he
at
was
that
he was
time.
number one, but while he was still number one, he's like, dude, there's no way I can beat Isla because he was doing full Atlas and he was barely sustaining over tier 11.
Mm.
And Isla was just like, okay, let me do my tier 12s and I can do my tier 13s and 14s and then back and forth. And he always had like 15 ready to chain every single time, and it's just like ridiculous.
And this wasn't early either. This was like, we're talking like level 98. A person who's like
Yeah.
first on the ladder can't sustain this shit, you know?
Yeah, and this is 91 Atlas versus like 135.
Mm.
Somebody is sustaining with 91 Atlas on a shape strategy better than somebody with 135 Atlas.
I mean, you don't drop more maps, and the higher maps, as we've confirmed, aren't actually better.
Yeah.
So
And it's partially Elder, it's partially Sextants.
I
And
think
combine them
that
to get around
Elder's worse than Sextants, because like Sextants is a broken
yeah.
system, but at least you control it. Whereas Elder's just kind of like, okay, I think I've set it up so it should be perma on this map, and then you do something, and then he's like, nah, fuck you, we've just jumped over here. And you're like,
I disagree with you, Tarke.
If you-
that
if
You
you
can
understand
set
the
up. You can
system-
set up it to have permanent. I have all of these are shaped. Shape T10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. All are basically permanent, either Elder or Shaper. One of them being always Elder because my Elder popped into the map and then I shaped it into a T10. But every single of those maps are literally Shaper or Elder all the time. So
Yeah.
And then you do that, and then you combine Sextants on, and then it's just like.
yeah, that's when
Like
gets so
what you
good.
have to do if you don't have perma Elder on the map, what has to happen when Elder Influence is on the map is a map that's touching it has to have Shaper on it, so that when you run the map, Shaper will take it
Shaper
over.
goes
If
in.
there's no Shaper adjacent to it, then it's just going to be no influence when you clear it.
Yep.
So like if you run a Waterways, but Elder is also on Torture Chamber or something, then when you run Waterways, Shaper's not even going to take it over. It's you have to run another map before Shaper will show up again on that
It's not
map.
adjacent like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I disagree with Tarke with the thing that he said real quick, because he said the maps whatever, and then Sextants are kind of fine because we control them. I
No,
think
no,
the
I think
Sextants
they're
control you.
Yeah, no.
That's the
Again,
problem.
for the record, like I made a 20-minute video which was on like. I think it says something when I make a video which is on the front page of Reddit and my dislike bar was healthy looking. Like, that was a shock to me. Like, I was like, hang on, I'm on the front page of Reddit. Oh, shit, I really don't want to look at my YouTube comments. And people are agreeing with me. I'm like, no, this system's fucked. Like, when Reddit is agreeing with me, then it's like, I've gone wrong.
Something is wrong.
Something bad has happened here.
Okay. Did John Miller post like a positive comment on the video too or something? Like,
Whoa.
That's
whoa,
when-
next
that's when you know
level.
What?
Like, if that guy ever agrees with something you're doing, at that point you just like stop streaming. It's just like, nah.
You made it.
It's the opposite. You're done forever now.
Literally. It's just like, oh man, what's happened here?
What have I grown into?
No, but so, okay,
God.
so like, what I mean by that is it's kind of like, so, despite the fact that a lot of people still don't understand Sextants for some reason, it's quite easy to explain Sextants to people, right? Whereas with the whole Elder Shaper thing, it's kind of like, okay, you run maps until Elder's here, and then Shaper will be over here, and then you set up a situation where they're touching each other, so then you run this map and they just go backwards and forwards, but then if Elder is on the map himself, and you don't kill Elder, then he's always on that map. And they go, okay, cool, so how do I put it on the map I want? And then, so Uber, how do
RNG.
I, from a, RNG, exactly. That's the thing which is bullshit, that's the thing that you don't control. It's kind of like, oh, I want it on this bit of the atlas. What do you do?
And
fuck around with it till it eventually goes over there.
it gets worse when you realize that like somebody that's just messing around with the atlas doesn't know what they're doing is has the potential to end up with their elder going into red maps, and then their elder spawns in red maps and is stuck there. There's no way to get rid of it unless you kill all the guardians and elder, and you've not done this fight before, and it's red map elder. It's like, well, crap.
Yeah.
Didn't it happen
I mean,
like to
hardcore
many
problems,
people in
right?
solo self at the start?
What's up? What did you say?
Didn't many people like accidentally get Elder early on in the league when they like
I think Noogie
push it?
has his.
Yeah, I think
stuck
Noogie
in,
had like an issue with it or something.
Has
I
his
kinda
stuck
have
on the
an
bottom
issue
of the
too,
atlas in red
Same
maps.
here.
It's a kind of weird that there isn't any way to get the Elder out without
Yeah,
actually
I
killing.
even brought it up talking to a dev about it, and they're like, yeah, we kind of need to like fine tune it and stuff,
Oh,
So
they
it's probably going to be better next league, or maybe even they change it this league. I don't know, but the fact that there's no way to get rid of Elder, or there's no like time limit before Elder just says screw it, I'm going home.
Yeah. Yeah, you could maybe like either unshape the map or forget it, and then Elder could leave, and then it would be an investment, but then you could at least reset it, and then
Yeah.
you could respawn somewhere else or something. That is, maybe you would need to kill the guardians or something like it could,
I mean,
it could
just
be
to, like,
balanced.
just like so that you when you do the map, right? So you get the Elder to spawn, and now it's gone, so you don't actually have to kill it, and then it would be a lot better.
Yeah.
So you would just like pop it on, and then you just like leave, and do the same with like guardians.
Okay, so I'm curious then. So, okay, this is what happened to me. When I was setting up my Atlas, like a week ago, I had it so that I had Elder in Vault. He'd, like, taken over Vault. And then I had his Guardians, like, dotting all around it. So, I was just, like, chilling, whatever, and I was kind of like, oh, I haven't done Elder this league. Well, let's just do Elder. So, I kill all his Guardians, I kill Elder. And in retrospect, that was a big mistake, because I had him in, like, the perfect place. And I realized during the fight, I was like, hang on, is it really worth it for the enjoyment of the boss fight? I'm like, I'll be fine. and then he dropped the 1 Chaos Glove. So it was really worth the investment, you know.
Wait a minute, just to be sure, because you said he was on your vault, Elder was on your vault, or the Guardians?
Elder himself was on my vault.
Okay, so does he then kill the boss or no?
Yeah, he kills
If
the boss.
you-
You have to wait for the animation, and then you can loot the piles. Like it's super OP.
That's what I was
Well-
wondering. That's OP
yeah, you
as
can get the
fuck,
piles.
What?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't kill his guardians, the boss is still there, and you get normal elder mobs.
Yeah.
That's what's insane
Yeah,
about
and the
elder
portals
inflows.
that keep making mobs, and they drop loot.
Yeah,
they drop
that's-
maps. They drop currency.
The
they
portals
drop
are OP.
cards, like it's OP.
Yeah.
The,
Wait,
the
hang on.
only problem with the portals.
Just a small thing, Raiz, and like everyone. We farmed that currency that I talked about earlier without the elder. Like I never had elder on vault properly. So yeah, imagine what currency you could make if you actually set that up correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they drop cards, they drop maps. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the only scary thing is if you get a Legacy of Zeal pack or a Legacy of Vigor pack. Zeal is really nasty because if the pack is big enough, eventually one mob just gets so many stacks. It's not even just that it takes small damage and hits hard. It literally becomes invincible. Literally. As in, I had a mob start regenerating ES while it was under 2 Tukurama Vanguard Scorching Ray totems. Like, it literally
Hardcore
could
players
not,
with their bad builds. Come on.
it literally could not take damage anymore. I've had this happen like 3 different times. And then that mob also hits really, really hard.
Mm.
So it's that's the scariest part of the portals.
Imagine
But-
if somebody posts this on Reddit and all they hear is like, "Get a good build, idiot."
Just play a good
Why
build,
don't you
lol.
why don't you just kill it, dude?
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's only elder mobs that do this though. Like
Yeah, it's
like-
pretty crazy. I agree. I've seen that a
But-
couple times now, and yeah, it's pretty nuts. You can't actually get through it. I mean, a lot of people like how rewarding is it the portals, right? Because I see people are like
They're insane.
hearing about this, and they're like, the portals are really crazy, guys. And then I see some like random dude on some stream like just sitting there and killing the portal for like 10 minutes straight, and he just has no damage. He can't kill it, and he's
Oh, they
like,
have a
"Yep,
lot of
people
HP.
told me that they're really good, so I do it." But is it actually
this
worth
like-
it?
Is this like
Yeah.
before they nerfed the life?
Yeah,
or
they
after?
used to have more life than bosses, which I found kind of
Yeah,
weird.
because
Yeah.
right now they aren't that tanky.
Yeah, they're like manageable. Yeah, but still, if you're like playing a light poacher build, you know, and you zoom through maps in 30 seconds, you can have like sextanted fields, which you can pretty much sustain quite easily, right? Even with like one sextant, it's like pretty manageable, I would imagine. And you're just zooming. Like, would you really take the time to clear something like this? I mean, there are still builds
Yeah.
that overpower this. You would
They-
take the time to kill it?
Yeah, they drop maps.
Yeah,
Like,
it is like
that's-
noticeable. Like I
it's
can remember
very,
a lot of
very
times of them
noticeable.
dropping
Yeah.
maps, currency, stuff like that.
I mean, I
You know
never
how
skipped
people-
it, but you know,
I have perma elder on Belfry. That's why I shaped it, because I was trying to get elder on specific maps in the top left, and it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna spawn on Belfry instead. And I'm like, oh, I'll just shape Belfry then, and because elder himself spawned on it, so I just ignore the guardians and I just run shape Belfry. I have 102 Atlas. You know how people are struggling to sustain shape vaults in some cases? I'm almost sustaining shape Belfry with 3 sextants with 102 Atlas, and if I had like another 30 Atlas bonus, I'd be sustaining with excess. It's really ridiculous how good Elder is by itself. Because without the Elder, I wouldn't be sustained. I'm skipping the boss too.
Okay, so I think we're like generalizing about a lot of things, but we're not really like answering personally, is this like good or bad? Like for instance, before when we were talking about the new system, we kind of said like, it's new, but we never really specified if we like the new system more of like the map progression and the getting the shaper orbs and stuff like that. So for instance, for SSF, for me, I really like it, but in Trade League, I would probably like it too, just because it forces you to play the Atlas a little bit more, and it's like a little bit of forced RNG until you hit that, hey, I'm running only one map for the next 3 months,
Yeah.
you know, scenario.
You can
It's-
buy it still in trade leagues. Like apparently, so like for anyone that doesn't know, you don't have to do your own to get the Shaper's Orbs. You can have a friend who has Elder, high level Elder, uh, invite you
Oh.
for the boss kill, and it will give you
Your
every
next
tier
tier.
orb up to that.
Oh,
So like,
it gets
Yeah.
better.
Wait,
yeah, so
what?
it's like,
No,
yeah,
it
you're
gets
gonna have to
better
do
in
this.
SSO. I hope you know about this, Raiz. So if you run a shape for like, okay, so I know you did this, Karv. You can literally get your T15 orb without ever
Yeah.
unlocking a red map.
I found that
So
out from Carv's
yeah,
video after, but
It's
it's a
pretty
pretty cool
good.
thing. So yeah, explain it because it's actually pretty cool.
Okay, so you know, you guys you start to getting the shape orb. So you get the T1 orb from a T6 map, and then you just like normally progress. And once you get the T5 orb from a T10 map, then you use that orb in the T5 map. So now it comes a shape T10, and then you either trade 3 of those into the next one, because now shape maps train into shape maps, or you could just like you could corrupt it and it has to like 1 in 4 to go into a +1.
yeah.
So then you get your next map with that, and as long as the base map, so let's say we have a tribunal, T7 tribunal is influenced by Elder. If you then complete a T12 shape tribunal, now you get the T7 orb, and then you can go with this all the way up to T10 orb without ever doing a single red map.
Yeah.
Well, before
So-
it would just vendor into the non-shaped adjacent map. Well,
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
it creates a shaped map for no reason,
Yeah.
which obviously isn't on your atlas, so you don't have to remove it in any way.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
part is weird.
Do you
Yeah, you
That
also
you
don't
can
even have to
wonder.
roll it.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I
think
wonder if
it's
it's
really
done.
bad. Like you get the memory fragment from basically just a white map. Like previously, you
Yeah.
had to run it like corrupted for the red. I think
Yeah,
they should bring it back, honestly.
Dude, the hell in racing where you get your excavation and you corrupt it and it becomes a necropolis like 3 times in a row, and it's just like,
Yeah.
oh my god,
Yeah.
I just want to shape my race course or whatever, and it's like,
I
no,
can't
you're
remember what it. I think it was what we needed to set up our second tier 13 in Mayhem, but there was only like 2 of the maps for sale in the entire league on hardcore. So what we were doing is we were purposely just putting them on our atlas, not corrupting them, so then we had the chance of them dropping. And then we like spent a lot of currency, like 50 to 100 sea levels, just for this one map, to put it on our atlas. Was farming Ashenwood all day and he just didn't fucking drop. I'm like, do we buy another one just so we can corrupt it? Like, it wasn't fun.
Just real quick, let me confirm that I understood what CuteDog said correctly, since I'm learning the mechanics here. Did you
I didn't
just
know
say
this till someone told me. Like I didn't know till like maybe 3 or 4 days ago.
just to be sure? So your friend is getting a tier 10 shaper orb
What?
from a tier 15 map, and now
It gets better.
you're level 80, and you just started mapping. You have no shaper fragments. You haven't seen shaper. You haven't seen elder. Nothing. You enter his map, and he drops his tier 10 shaper orb, and you drop 15 memory fragments.
No, you
is
drop
that what
one.
you
You
said?
just get
once
one by
per
one.
map, but you
Yeah.
can do it
Yeah.
over and over again.
Yeah.
So like,
Oh, it's once per
very
map,
hard.
but like it doesn't matter what
he
you
can
run,
keep,
really.
like he has shaped vaults as a tier 14, right? I did not shape anything past tier 5, my channies, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to shape my vaults into my vaults from 9 to 14, so I can block the atoll if I ever wanted to run a yellow Sextant on atoll. So I was like, damn, dude, I gotta like break my blocking. I gotta like do all these maps. And he's like, no, just I'm doing endless shaped vaults. Just come into my map 4 times at the boss. And then so I paid him. I went into
Yep.
the boss 4
Okay,
times.
so this
gave me
didn't
the
occur
parts.
to
I was
me
like,
because
okay.
that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. What
I
the
like
fuck?
that though.
That's so insane.
It's
Yeah.
like I like it though because it's a trade. It's another part of trade. Like you can just buy
Yeah, I
the.
knew you would like it.
Oh, you don't have to like
No,
mess up your atlas, right? So if you want to spend the money, you can do that.
Yeah, because
Oh
like
my God.
a bunch of people I was talking to were like, yeah, I like they were playing support, so they were playing with everybody else. They didn't really work on their own atlas, but that's how they got their shaper orbs. Is they were running with somebody else who had like perma elder on shape vaults, and they had their first orb, and then they got their tier 2 orb, then their tier 3, and then their tier 4, then their tier 5, just running shape vaults on their friend's atlas because it had perma elder on it. So
I mean, I guess it's cool that it's a possibility, kind of like in other games you can like boost friends and stuff. This way you can kind of boost them, but like it's I kind of hate that. You've ever tried out a new game where your friends were convincing you to do it for a really long time, and then eventually you're like, okay, and they're like, okay, you have to do this, do that, do this, have this gear, equip this, and then now you're fine. Because they want to make you out to be like this character that you would to play with them, right? And this is kind of the
Yeah.
same thing. It's like you have a friend and he's like, okay, you don't have to do anything with the Atlas, which is super cool and
Yeah,
complex,
just come
by
into
the
my
way.
map 7
Just
times
come
in a
into my
row.
map.
Yeah,
It's-
that's not.
what the
Yeah.
fuck? I don't know. That's on
It's
one
kinda
side
like
that's
getting
like
a,
cool,
like-
on the other side it's really bad. I don't know. It's
Kind of like buying a level
I mean, it's a
100
mid-league
character.
thing, kind of,
Yeah.
almost. I mean, you could actually use this in Trade League for like something economic advantage. You could sell Shaper Orbs if you wanted at the start of a league. You could brush getting Elder on getting your Shaper Orbs and then getting Elder on some specific map, and you could be like, okay, I'm selling this Shaper Orb or this tier of Shaper Orb, and you kill the boss, and everybody gets their memory fragments and stuff. You could
Maybe-
probably do that at the start of a league.
yeah.
Honestly, I don't think that's only worth if you have already sextant block something, because you can just buy the map that you have under Elder's influence and you run the map and you get the orb yourself.
Yeah,
Well,
It's a much
but
bigger
you have to
I mean,
get your Atlas first then. I mean,
we're
at
talking about
least
red
get it to
maps
the
on like
point
day
where-
2, though.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if you are like the 8 or the 9s and you have Elder somewhere there, and there's people actually running those, you can buy a shape map and then you get the orb yourself too, and you get the normal map load. Of course, if they sell the map like super expensive, it's different. But like
Yeah.
if you have like sextant blocked already, like CuteDog had, then it's a lot more important, because then you don't like remove the sextant blocks. But also, like there's people selling like the lower tier orbs, like T5, T6, T7 orbs, when people could have just bought the map themselves and run it. Like there were some people paying like 20 chaos for the orbs.
Well,
Just
you
because
know,
they-
you
buying
need
the map
you
doesn't
need
work.
the elder to like get his stuff for the blue circle to appear, right? And that's random. Like I've had it
Yeah,
appear
that's
different places.
personal. That's the thing. That's why you can't just buy them up and run it, because it's in your Atlas then. Like they are selling the fact that their Atlas is set up in a way where they can get X orb, and then that just works for other people. Like you can just
Yep.
buy the
Yeah,
map because you need to progress to the.
I see exactly what you're talking about, but like that's how if you have the elder somewhere, you don't
Oh,
have.
okay, right, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
If you have it, then
Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like since you can get it on any map, wherever your elder is, it doesn't matter what corner it is, as long as you are in the map minus 5 levels, like you know T8, then you're gonna get the T8 orb by just buying the shape map.
Like I see what they were going for with this, like where a point where they kind of want to please like both groups. You still have the possibility of doing whatever you want, but if you want, you can like also just essentially boost yourself. But then like fucking all mapping ends up being essentially to a lot of people is like what you do in D2, right? Where you're like run Tristram, then run Tombs, then run this, except now it's like get boosted, run the same map for 3 months straight.
but it's
it's like-
customizable. Like I mean, you can do that, and
some
there's
extent.
like, but you don't have to, right? I mean, if you're
Yeah, that's the
if-
thing.
if
That's
your
what I'm
aim
saying.
is to,
They could have
like-
pleased both. Like,
yeah. It gives options at least. Like you don't have to do it, but you have the option to. I think that's nice.
but it's so powerful. Like, why wouldn't
Yeah.
you? You know, it's just so strong. Like, you
Because
can-
some people get bored running the same map, right? Like some people don't like doing that. But I mean, if people don't like repetition, then you know a game like PoE is not necessarily
Yeah,
for them in the
yeah.
long term.
Yeah.
Like I mean, even if you're a lab farmer, then what if you're running the same lab over and over again? That's kind of the
yeah,
same.
but you have a point. I also argue the same thing whenever people are like, oh my god, leveling stream or something. It's like, dude, it's fucking PoE. All you ever do in this game is fucking
Yeah.
level. Like, what do you mean? What's the difference if it's like low level or if it's in a map? It's the same
Would you
shit.
rather watch me play at level 100 in like super maxed out gear that just like destroys T11s all day? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, that's what the
I
game
think-
boils down to. So I guess you have a point that like you skip a part of the grind if you choose to, but then you still got what PoE is in that sense left over.
Okay, then. So, without just saying because they're dumb, why do we think that a lot of people are choosing not to participate in sextant blocks, other than just like variety?
It's
I don't know.
complicated.
Do people choose? I think it's a matter of I don't actually know. I don't care enough to find out.
I don't think it's complicated at all.
I don't know.
I think people don't realize that there's tools that
Yeah, there's
help
a
you
website.
learn how sextant blocking works. There's a sextant.poekit.net
Yeah.
that helps you kind of understand how sextant blocking works. I'll actually link this.
It just looks like a clusterfuck when you look at a properly blocked vault on a picture. It just looks like what the fuck is going on. But sextant blocking is like super simple. Like I think I don't know.
It's probably like a price thing too. Like lots of people feel like they can't afford it, right? Because
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
have.
the current prices is pretty
Yeah.
pricey. But
Also,
I mean,
if you're a normal player, you run like a shitty map and you get 3 chaos back or something, right? And you're like, okay, 3 chaos. That's
It's-
1 white sextant. Oh, how am I gonna spend 4?
It's also
right? And you're like,
it's also-
oh
Yeah.
shit.
It's also more annoying now because the way they designed the new Atlas, I was actually looking at this. They made it so that, like in the previous Atlas, there were maps that were like, if you shape them, you could get 2 white sextants on Orchard, which would be a shape T14, and you can't. There's no way you can do that anymore. The highest you can get it on is a T12, which is Residence and Bazaar, and so. The best use for white sextants past that is just blocking for things like Vault, which is one of the reasons why Vault is so powerful, is that you can actually get some white sextant blocks on that.
Mhm.
But yeah,
I mean, I think a big part of it is too like, okay, so before when you were to play PoE, it was like you would take a week to get to level 30 or something, right? And then I'm not saying that's necessarily good, but you know, the game had a lot less mechanics. It didn't have all these leagues under its belt. You just didn't have so much freaking shit thrown at you. And
Yeah.
now even if you watch some of the streamers that come over from other games, I mean, they play video games for a living essentially, and they have chat to help them out and everything, and they just get fucking bombarded with information.
Yeah.
So by the time you get to maps, you're just it's so fast progressing that you're just so overwhelmed with all these concepts that you don't
Yeah.
quite get, but you have an idea.
I would
That
agree with that.
sextants are just like,
Another
you know,
layer
it's
of
the
what the
craziest thing ever, right? It's like you
Yeah.
opened a new skill tree again.
Yeah.
So that probably plays into it, that before it was a much smoother progression, while now you like just almost immediately find yourself in maps and you have to deal with all these things.
Yeah, and then there's like the whole sextants are really mostly good if you're doing shape strats, because
Yeah.
you're using lower color sextants on maps that are 5 levels higher than normal. So you get way more efficiency out of the sextants if you're doing it on shape maps. So that's another thing, is that if you're not doing a shape strategy or you don't have a lot of a shape map, it makes a lot of your sextants like almost worthless, really.
What if they introduced a new system that now every map would trade for another map, non-adjacent, and whenever you would like shape a tier 5 into a tier 10, it would choose a map from the tier 10 thing and move it to where the tier 5 was. So now you can run a tier 10 map at tier 5, and your shape map is going to be at tier 10, but you can't use the sextants over from the start. Therefore, you have to use yellow sextants to sextant block for the newly found map that has now moved across the atlas.
Right, did anyone understand what the fuck he just said? Because it's like, what?
No, basically, like the same way you can vendor up maps, right? Now, whenever you were to shape a map, it would switch places with another map of the same tier on the atlas.
You know what that sounds like? That's literally like, you know when there's a really easy like solution to a problem, and you're like, yo chat, how do I fix the mana reservation for my build? And the answer's like, take this one class and it's like, actually, Tarke, if you equip these 17 different items, then
What's
you
that-
snapshot
what-
this jewel.
fix-
Then if
what's
you
the-
have a level 4 instead of a level 7 clarity, then you'll have just enough mana that if you're using a catalyzed mana pot at all times, you'll be able to maintain your main clear seed while shield charging. But if you reach over 15.3 attack speed, you actually have slightly too much mana usage on your shield
This
charge.
is what
Tarke I can
died
translate.
for.
Tarke I can translate. When you
Yeah.
shape a map, It
Yes,
switches the location with an actual map that was the tier that you shaped it into.
exactly.
Wow.
So like if you
Thank
if you're
you.
just
Balances the white maps, like sextant blocking and all this stuff, right?
so like if you shape Haunted Mansion, it can switch places with Siege, because that
Yeah.
turns into a
And now
tier
Siege
10,
will
and
be
then
perfect
Siege turns
adventure.
into a tier 5.
Exactly.
That sounds okay. If people don't understand Sextants, I don't understand.
I actually
people,
get it
like,
now.
knowing
I
that.
just got it. And I'm
That's
like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
But
not that
it's not good
chill.
though.
Tarky's getting overwhelmed here.
it's too much here. I'm too simple. I need someone to make a website which tell me what that means.
Sextant? No, I wanted to specify it too much. But like, would that be like a sort of a solution? I mean,
so then you would just shape a good, at least in CuteDog's position, you would just shape a good map. Like since it does the switch, so you would shape a map that you want to change the location, so you get the good map from the. Okay, so let's say
at
Park.
it'll be like a
T15
lower
on
tier.
T10.
So
I
let's
would want like
say
a tier 5 though.
yeah, let's say Park, for example. So that would be like the Park is a T13. It's an okay map. It drops
still
steel
good,
rings, for
yeah.
example. Okay, so you would then shape a T8 that is bad, so that it switches the side with the Park, and now you would just run the Park. So all you would do is just switch the maps, right?
Yes, but now
Yeah,
It's
but that
still
doesn't do anything with the Sextant problem. Now you would just run the
No.
Park.
because all red maps are annoying as shit. Okay, every red map is bad.
It
So
would
you
just
would
Have you
never
run
have
any
red
red
maps.
maps?
Like, the aim of this would be to put a map that is otherwise
That's
a
what
bad
you guys
location
said.
to a good spot, right? Like that's kind of the point of this, Raiz.
Now, here's
Yeah.
I have a solution. I have Glowy Brain solution. Okay, you guys are all dumb. Here's what they do. Grinding Gear has the stats on when they release the statistics. They know what uniques you're using. They know what maps you're running the most of. They know what zones you're completing the most of. Okay, here's what they do. They just slowly increase the number of monsters and stuff, the quantity and the rarity on the maps, the monsters, until the really shitty maps have a higher completion or like higher number of maps completed compared to like the meta. That's what you do. Just keep increasing like 1% per
Until
2
nobody can
hours.
run the game
Until-
because it's so laggy.
Until just like, keep increasing until like people start using it. I mean, they have the data, they can do it, right? They can just tell us, they're like, hey, we're gonna slowly increase the number of mods on these maps until people start running them, and then you'll find some equilibrium, right?
That would work in practice, but that requires so one, that requires GGG to make regular balance changes, so that's not gonna happen.
Right.
Two, so imagine you've got your setup right. You've set up your Atlas so that you've got like 1 tier 9, 1 tier 10, 13 plus all unlocked. If GGG then makes like a Reddit post, because Reddit, by the way, saying we've increased some density by 5%. Are you gonna completely fuck your entire Atlas to try and work out if like cells feel slightly better that
No,
week?
you're gonna wait for a
Someone's
streamer
gonna-
to do it.
Someone's
and
gonna
then if
someone's
it
gonna figure it out
works,
for you. Someone's gonna
then
figure
you're
it out for
gonna
you,
copy it.
and then you test it out for yourself. If you like it, you'll switch over. And then
Exactly.
But
if you're
doesn't
streaming,
that kill shaped maps then? Because then the lower tier maps would be the bad density. So if you shape a map, then you're using the
No,
bad density
there
maps.
there
to
would
do
be
it.
it
no
under the
bad
balance.
density. They're increasing it
Oh.
across the board on like those. So like everything
There's
actually
always
feels
gonna
good.
be a worse
There
map.
could be a way to make everything like actually the same, kind of like more similar XP per hour items, and like
That's what they
there is
did
a way
now.
to make
Didn't you notice?
I
That's what they
mean,
did now. The
look,
XP is
there's a
very
way to do
balanced
it. I
amongst
mean,
maps.
Are we like soon done with talking the utopistic case where everything is balanced? Because we know it's not gonna happen, right? They said that they're gonna. They said that they're
ever.
balancing maps for the XP per hour, but I mean, have you tested like
There's too many
other
maps.
T5 like
Shaped
okay, let's
hour.
like T1. Have you like tested dungeon against like beach?
Yeah.
I don't know. They
Yeah.
Dungeon definitely got better, but yeah, it's not. No.
I feel like all the closed maps got better. Like I did notice the fact that they
Except
did
Torture
buff a lot
Chamber.
of those. Like Underground C was like absolute garbage, and now it's like full of mobs. I feel like, for example, that's like one example of like a closed map that I remember being absolute garbage, and now it's like playable. Like
and then you go
You
to
guys just
dunes.
don't. There's reasons for all of this. Torture Chamber fucking sucks because Vinktars is OP, so that way Vinktars is balanced, dude. It all makes sense.
Okay,
Think
so
about it.
I was-
balanced by proxy.
so
Yeah,
I
exactly.
was I was going to actually unshape my T13 and get my only T13 as Caldera, which is the old Abyss map. And I ran it, and it's like, what the hell? Where are the mobs? I'm pretty sure they nerfed the density on Caldera. Well, Abyss. I don't know. I don't know what to call it for.
I guess Caldera because it's Caldera.
I haven't even.
Yeah,
I was shocked, to be honest, when I saw that Uber is going to be completing the full atlas, and especially Karv, when Karv was like trying things out, and I didn't even look at the atlas. I like saw a little bit of Karv's video, and then I just took a look at the atlas, and I was just like, what the fuck? Who would ever like progress into these higher maps if you can just if you can just shape them? And then you guys did it, and it was awful. I'm like, yep.
I can tell you
Some of the
why.
new maps are really good. Like Crimson Temple's insane.
Yeah, but like
Defile Cathedral is insane.
Defile Cathedral.
you're right, Raiz. You know what? You know what's the reason I was planning to do like basically all the maps? That's the only way you can actually farm Red Elder. You can't.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
The big downside, like if you do the shape strat, you can't farm Red Elder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you were solo self-found. Why would you give a shit?
About farming Elder.
Yeah, challenges.
Because some people enjoy running the higher tier content and maybe doing the actual like the end game content sometimes.
No, you're playing the game wrong. No.
Raiz.
You're
some
just
people-
playing wrong.
No,
Just ask
Raiz,
Reddit.
Raiz.
Let's make
Real
a straw
talk.
poll on Reddit if you're playing the game right.
Real talk. Some people like taking Elder off of their vault for the chance at a onesie pair of gloves, okay? Like, trust me, Elder is very lucrative. Elder farming is where all the money's at.
Yeah, especially on SSF.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
I think those gloves are underrated, actually, but
Dude,
there's
Uber,
two comments that are-
don't hype it, yo. I want to get that Muns. Go on, tell me, why are these gloves good?
because they increase the effectiveness of things like shock. So things like Vinctars. If you're wearing like a full Elder set, you can actually get like, instead of like 15% shock from Vinctars, it's like 27%. So
We need Mathil on here. Better
Okay,
start
so-
stacking those gloves.
that's why people are doing they're chancing Elder uniques from Elder bases because they're trying to get like more effectiveness out of shock and all that.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing, but
I mean, it's kind of scary.
Sounds great. Okay, so since we all agree that Sextants are too powerful in their current state. Yeah.
yeah.
Do we?
Well, that's why I
Wait,
asked the
yes.
question, Raiz.
Empyrean agrees? And CuteDog
Yeah,
agrees
fine.
too? I was
Yeah.
hoping for blood.
Powerful.
I have two
Fight.
issues with
Fight
Sextants.
to the death.
Oh, I don't think that's a good thing, but they are powerful.
Yeah.
Is MP
I
really
wouldn't
quiet
run
for
any-
everyone?
You just went really quiet
went
and
wild.
okay.
You did a talkie. Try again.
Wait, he can't hear us.
You can hear us. Yo, Epic, can you hear us?
What's up? Hello? Can you hear
Oh,
me?
your mic got really quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay. Hello? Can you hear me now?
Still quiet.
Skype! Yay! Wait, how
Yeah.
is it?
Skype.
Did you do something? Oh,
No,
the typing's
I
fine.
didn't.
Oh, you're fine
Oh,
now.
now
You're
it's
fine
fine.
now.
You're back.
Hey!
Go back.
You
Repeat
guys
that
are
sentence.
welcome. I
Okay.
fixed it.
Oh, so what I was saying, they are strong. I don't think that's necessarily good, but they are strong. I wouldn't run any map
Mhm.
without that you can properly sextant control without sextants. Like I just wouldn't ever.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
the thing.
I
That's
do
what
have some
everyone
ideas for
knows,
sextants,
right?
like I'll say later, I guess.
So yeah, my two problems, like you just mentioned that you wouldn't consider running a map that you can't properly sextant. So my two problems with sextants are, one, it limits the amount of choice you have. You can do any map you want, but let's just skip the you know
Yeah.
you don't actually have the choice there if you want to be even
Efficient.
somewhat efficient, yeah. And then when you do the block, then what Tarke was whining about in his video is it limits the future build choices that you're gonna do. So like that's pretty much my problem with the Sextants too. If there was a way to, I don't know, maybe have a second Atlas page, or just you're so limited when you decided to do the Sextant thing, you're just like pigeon holding yourself into that one spot for X amount of time until you're ready to switch around, and then you don't actually somewhat get to choose because of the limits on the sextant blocking and how many sextants you can actually have. Like the vault, you can have like what 6 sextants, and then waste pool. I think is it like 4 total or 3? I don't remember exactly how many it is.
4.
You can sextant for 2 different locations with like
but
5 and 6.
you can use only 4 sextants on it, like actually active versus 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
sorry. Go ahead.
so when you have the currency to go full on, they're just like the choice actually kind of goes down. Like,
Okay, so here's a question. Do you guys think GGG gives a fuck? Because
Yeah.
we're constantly talking about like sextants and shaping and how it's been a concern for everybody and all this sort of stuff for the longest time, really. And they released an atlas that pretty much emphasized on all the problems that we've previously had. I think, unarguably, it's gotten worse for the people who thought it was bad before. So do they
I've
really
talked
give
to-
a fuck about this, or do they
Yes,
just
I
like?
think-
I've talked to
that,
multiple people at GGG that have said they don't like the current Atlas. That like they don't like the current meta for Atlas at all.
How the fuck did they release it then?
Yeah,
I
okay,
don't
can I
get
just,
it.
can I,
Okay.
what the fuck?
What?
Okay, so that would
Because
be like,
time constraints.
but
Yeah.
they
You
made it!
No, see, I don't see that as okay. There's 2 fucking parts to the game. So, for instance, when the 3.0 was getting released and they were adding the acts and everything, I was like, guys, it's like 3 more hours of gameplay. It's really not going to be anything game changing if you've played PoE before. And now this is the expansion for the second part of the game that most people spend multiple months on, and time constraints prevent them from like actually putting like some major thoughts into it. Like you can't use that as an excuse. It's like this is what this was supposed to be about, right?
We don't
Yeah.
even have the final Elder fight yet.
yeah.
Yeah, there's the
Dude.
data mined Uber Elder
Yeah,
fight,
like-
and there's all the voice dialogue and everything. for the
Yeah.
game.
The Shaper fight's using the wrong dialogue right now. Like there's supposed to be different dialogue for the Shaper fight now.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
I
like,
understand the time constraint
Like-
because they extended Legacy League a lot. Like Legacy was really long, right? And I'm sure they didn't want to do the same with Harbinger, which arguably most people agree that it's like one of the
Empy,
worst leagues
your mic did it again.
Your mic's messed
It's-
up, dude.
I
It's
think
kinda
you
fine.
need to check your mic jack or something. I think it's like halfway out or something.
All right.
Why don't you scream?
And then it actually started.
Let
to,
it out,
properly-
dude. Let it out.
Okay, so while MP fixes that, so I think this is my issue. So I said this for all of last league on Baeclast, and the entire time Raiz was saying, Tarke, they know what they're doing. It's gonna be fine. Think about it, Tarke. They've spent all this time on development. This is exactly what happened. Now, the problem is, this is gonna sound really weird. I think the big issue they have is like how hard they try and push the team, because they have so much spectacle creep, and every like we're gonna get a new fucking expansion, and then we're gonna do another one right after, like fuck it. So you've got like Chris who's like, no, this is gonna be epic, yo. It's like if it's like when you have that one friend who like just praises all of these, like, oh, it's gonna be so lit, we're gonna go out on Friday, we're gonna go to the club, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, then we're gonna go to the other club, and then you get a call at like 10 minutes, you're like, yeah man, so I'm not really feeling up to it, I'm kind of broke, so I've bought some beers and I'm gonna come around and it's gonna be chill, just kick back, just you and me, no distractions, no drama, just you and my boys. And then next week, like, okay, we're gonna go to the club again, we're gonna do it. And I feel like they're trying to push too hard, and because of that, and because they just keep chasing deadline after deadline after deadline, they're not ever like fully implementing their situation.
Well,
That
I
being
think
said, this is a concern for people who have been playing almost non-stop since the start of the league, right?
Yeah.
So think
Yeah.
about it that way, because most people, I think, would agree that the changes in this league have been significant, and for the most part, I think the game has been more fun, at least for me. Maybe because
Like-
it was
I agree.
changed, but it's
Like, they gotta
it's
test a
really
whole lot
only
of stuff.
hitting now, where like I feel like I'm not frustrated about this yet, but like give it 2-3 more weeks, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, this fucking Atlas situation really sucks. So
Yeah,
for the
but-
average player, it's gonna take like hopefully 6 more months before they realize that this shit sucks.
I mean, they have to test a whole lot of different stuff. It's not just like, oh, we're just gonna test how Atlas feels and only that for, you know, this amount of time. Like they got some important stuff fixed up and to make sure that there wasn't going to be abuse with like spawning multiple elders, because if you kill all the guardians and then you go to run your elder map and you put like 5 of them in the Templar lab and you try to kill elder multiple times with that map, since it'll replace the boss on all of those maps, you only get loot from the elder once, because it'll check your Atlas and it'll be like, oh, you don't have elder on this map actually, so you don't get loot, you don't get elder loot at all for this. And so at the very least they looked for exploits like that, and they managed to fix that. It's not just like pure gameplay.
Yeah.
I remember,
yeah, but at the same time, it's like so disappointing, right? It's like, imagine it's like on Xbox. Hey guys, we're releasing Xbox. You get to Shaper, everything's fucked. By the way, it's completely like when they released it, somebody got to Shaper, and they weren't expecting people to get to Shaper that fast, I guess, on Xbox, and the entire fight was just completely fucked up. Like it was 10 times worse than what we had that one time when he was like spawning minotaurs and shit during the Shaper fight. It was that, except on Xbox, and this is kind of the same thing where it's like, well, releasing Elder and everything, but like. There's a lot of problems with it, even though that's what the league is you're aiming at. Yeah.
I feel like they underestimate how fast players can actually get to content, because like it's the same thing with the fact that we don't have the final Elder fight right now. Apparently, after you get all 15 of the memory fragments, that's when you're supposed to be able to get the final Elder, and there's supposed to be some additional Zana dialogue. But for the person that I know of that has all 15 fragments. And sometimes when he talks to Zana now, the game crashes.
Yikes. MPA, is your stuff fixed? Or?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, so what I was saying earlier, just one sentence about the time constraints, that it's understandable that they kind of wanted to push this one out a bit faster, because they, like, Legacy was super long, right? And they didn't want to repeat that with Harbinger, which is like arguably one of the worst like recent leagues, and people didn't really like that much, so they didn't want to push that.
But it brought a fuck ton of new people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in a way, it was successful as a product.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to keep those people, I guess.
Yeah.
Wait, you were saying something? Sorry, I didn't know.
No, that was it.
Okay.
Like they wanted to get back on schedule with
3-month schedule, I guess.
Yeah. So
I mean, they had to December, right?
It's they did 2 major expansions in a row. The next one's probably going to be a whole lot of fine tuning with like all of the problems that came with this league. It's all just like small things, and you know they can focus more on the league mechanics and all of that. So I think it was just like they kind of rushed this out because they want to get back on schedule, and now that they're back on schedule, things are probably going to get better. Hopefully going to get better.
So you're saying next league is going to suck.
Wait. So are you saying that they're not, you know, the Tarke nice little comparison about the hyping up. So you're saying that they're not planning to hype us again, and they just like completely like forgot all of this shit? Like
they're gonna hype.
Yeah, and so then just like push more content, and then the problems that we have now are kind of going to stay.
It's just, I will admit, because so when they announced the expansion for December, I got scared. I'm like, really? Like, you're going to be able to do it? Okay, that's cool. I think we'll be okay, but if we get another expansion, and it's like, I'll be like, what the fuck, Chris? Like, can't, like, someone just, like, get him a holiday. Just like, Chris, we've booked you a month in Barbados. Just stop. Just have a nap. Just let the team sleep for 10 minutes.
Their hype for the next league is more likely going to be, oh, we're changing this ascendancy to this, and everybody's gonna be like, oh my god, that's so fucking OP. What the hell? And they're gonna be like, Elementalist is gonna be broken.
Oh yeah, didn't they like release, like, this is like a long time ago, they like released like a timeline on what they're gonna do next, and after like the end game changes, next is gonna be the ascendancy changes. Isn't that the next one?
They did say that, yeah. They were going
Yeah,
to
that's-
add an ascendancy.
Ah.
I
And
think
they're
they're
gonna
gonna add another
they're
ascendancy class for each class, each starting class.
Wait, did they
There's
say that?
no.
I think they're gonna do it because they said there's gonna be some big changes, and last time it was like 30 new maps, a new atlas system. It's coming, guys.
Yeah,
Trust
but
me.
that's an expansion. The next thing is definitely not going to be an expansion, right? Was
Yeah.
it Ascendancy was released as an expansion, right? With the lab
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
But this will only be a
This-
third of an ascendancy expansion, so it's not really expansion, just extra stuff.
I
Because they
see.
just add one more.
Okay.
I really like to think that I always go back to this, like, the poor GGG intern. There's someone, like, typing up the expansion announcement, like, oh, fuck, delete, shit. I don't
Imagine
know.
if like your first job is at Grinding Gear Games, and you think that this is like the way people live their lives, just in the office, 18 hours a day, just losing their shit, traumatized
He made
employees.
Vault as a pitch, and then everyone loved it. And then now his next job is to type out the patch. It's CuteDog,
feel-
dude.
Yeah, I feel
Just
like
throw
that's
him
what
into the
happened
sharks.
with. I feel like the 100% happened with Jonathan. It was like, dude, Jonathan, everybody loves the shit that you do. Why don't you make a league? He's like, oh, okay, I guess I could put together a league. Then he makes Darkshrine. Everybody's like, oh my god, Darkshrine's the best league ever. He then like fixed desync. He did the whole thing with the what is it, rendering, multi-threading, and all that sort of stuff. I feel like that's what happened with Jonathan. He's just like so, because we haven't really heard anything from him for like forever now. While before it was like, hey, this crazy thing is getting implemented. It's Jonathan time, baby. It's like, ugh. Maybe he's gone forever. Maybe that's
Maybe
what
he's just ascended.
Yeah.
he's
I
ascended.
feel
He's
bad.
not allowed to talk to us mere mortals anymore.
Yeah. I just feel bad for the one guy. Like, okay, we've had a lot of feedback the last few leagues. Intern 27, your one job is to watch every Pee-wee video that's ever made, write down all the complaints, and process them.
Big Sextants.
Okay, so
Why
to,
watch videos when you can read Reddit, dude?
yeah. Okay, so to backtrack back onto like Atlas and stuff. So since we've established that some people just don't block for reasons, what can GGG realistically do to try and like bridge the gap between CuteDog and average person on Reddit who's like, oh, I just sell the Sextants?
Delete the Sextants.
I have an idea
in terms
for
of
Sextants, for like a proper idea.
Go
If my mic works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a long one. So Sextants, there will only be one kind of Sextant. It's just gonna be Cartographer Sextant. Okay, so no colors. All the mobs, all the extra mobs that Sextants can add to maps, they'll just be based on maps. Like the extra fire mobs, the extra chaos mobs, the barrels, whatever. Just put all of them in the maps, just by default. Sextants would be really rare, like Regal, Divine Exalt, kind of rare, but they only give the cool mods. Okay, so like Hunted Traitors, Nemesis monsters drop extra currency, the unique stuff, for example, the corrupted stuff. So like anytime you find the Sextants, it's gonna be really cool, and you can use it on whatever map you want to run, and then all the maps will just have crazy density anyway, because all those map mobs that the regular earlier Sextants included in the map now are just default in the map. So sustain is a bit better, and anytime you find a Sextant, you're happy because you can roll something cool with it, right?
Two
Can
things.
I first?
You say the
So-
first thing, I'll say the second thing.
Okay, so in short, put all Sextants base into every map. Take the cool rare mods that nobody doesn't really run often, and have them as Sextant as a very rare.
Yeah, things like Zana, things like yeah, you
So
could add more
basically-
stuff. Like you could add more rare cool stuff.
So
like the
in
Nemesis
short,
monster
remove
extra.
Sextants.
Kind
As
of.
they are
yeah,
now.
or
That's
just make
basically
them
it.
super
So
rare.
basically,
Yeah.
turn Sextants into a different type of chisel.
Turn Sextants into
Okay,
a shit
here's-
prophecy.
I wouldn't agree with that because it's like Sextants are cooler than that, right? Because people want density. But like no matter what you do, you're gonna piss off one group of people. I think this is the best group of people to piss off, which is CuteDog, because it doesn't affect me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't want to balance around people like CuteDog, right? Like that's not what 99% of the player base does.
Pretty much.
or at least-
it still has the same problem that we have currently, which is new players not understanding it, and therefore the high level players, whatever you want to call it, benefit from it too much. Because now these people, if sextants are so rare, right? I don't people would be like, would they really just use the sextant rather than sell it, and then the people with a lot of currency would just buy off all the sextants? Like,
You would have
It's
you would
the
have
same-
to
it's the same
you would have
thing.
to
it's the same
extend that
thing, yeah.
to
Let's
maybe
look.
if going with that, you would have to extend it so that you can have maybe like one sextant affecting a map at a time.
I
It
think
basically, like, what it's doing is it's kind of like it's turning it into a mix of legacy and prophecy. So what I mean by that is like the vault keys
Yeah.
you got in legacy. So it's like you got this key and it's like, oh, exciting! I can run it. Probably be disappointed,
Yeah.
or I can sell
Or
it.
I can sell it for a lot. Exactly.
Right, exactly.
Oh
Yeah.
God,
So,
Ventura
but, like,
with
this
the
is,
with the
'cause
big
this is the
glowy
thing.
brain.
This is the thing, right? So like, I agree with MP in the fact that I would just fucking remove sextant blocking and then just add density to
Yeah, the
maps.
problem is not sextants, it's sextant blocking.
the
The fact that
blocking is
the
the
fact
issue.
that you can roll this, you can't roll the same mod within the range. Like that's the problem.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but density also, okay, density, as much as people love to play density, it density is like, in my opinion, the core problem with the entirety of the game. Because density furthers like bad balance in a way. Because all the reason why Vol Fireball is super powerful, the reason why Light Poacher is super powerful, the reason why there's no positioning in the game, the reason why people just mindlessly press 5 potions every 5 seconds rather than actually think about what the fuck they're doing. You don't really think about your potions, is because like the reason why people were getting so many vol charges and everything, all these like on kill and like scaling effects come from density and the fact that people have so much mobility. And so by doing something like this, you'd have to like now rebalance the entirety of the game so that people wouldn't basically be left with only playing Vol Fireball or something like
The
that.
thing is that they kind of already do that. It's just
Yeah.
not everybody interacts with sextants, right? So that they are like just okay, I'm just gonna sell them or whatever. Like yeah, but yeah, that's true.
Can I
I think-
backtrack? Can I backtrack to
That's
the
a lot of
Go
work.
for it. So-
Yeah,
the
go for it, Karv.
the question that Tarke said? How can we bring them closer? Well, I personally would feel a lot better if any extra monsters like added to the maps through sextants just wouldn't like, for starters, wouldn't like drop maps.
Yeah,
That
that's
Sure.
and then like just increase the base, like the density. That's basically like what Empy is saying. And then, well, you could limit maps to have X amount of sextants active at the time. You could make so that only the same color of the, like white only affects white and so on, or like at that I don't know, 50% of, like if you have white sextant on yellow, it would be like only 50% efficiency or something like that, so that you would actually use like the actual sextant of the map color. So when you're running like red maps, you would use red sextants, but then there's the problem that, you know, they're gonna get more expensive and all that. So I kind of like the idea of having only sextant like type and no like rarities on them.
The thing is about like the expensive part, sextants will always have a price where they are still worth using, right? Like they're never going to be more expensive if you're using them at the ideal circumstances, which currently is Vault, which they could also change by the fact that you could rotate maps around like every league or even every month or every 2 weeks within a league, that you could just move stuff. That could be like a giant storm in the map that like moves a pack of maps around or whatever, just to keep it interesting. But the prices will always just equalize based on like the market value that they have, right? Like people are going to sell them, they're not going to sell them for less than what they're worth. Then in that case, then they would just run it themselves or whatever. Like I think the price is like the sextants have been 1.5, like yellow sextant has been 1.5 chaos early on in the league, and now it's 6 and people are still buying and using them, so it's still worth doing, right, in the ideal circumstances. So the price I don't think is too relevant.
I think
Yeah,
I think another problem, like with the whole sextant situation, like another problem right now is that maps that are in like the top section or like the bottom section of the atlas, like the yellow maps in the bottom and the top, aren't as attractive because again the blocking situation is.
Yeah, the map density is really like the map density on the atlas, like not the monster density in the maps, but the map density on the atlas is really inconsistent.
We need a boob-shaped atlas. Everything is boob and dick-shaped in the game. We need a boob-shaped atlas, and then that way everything will be equal. And then you can have 2 pages, like Karv mentioned, where one boob is like 1 page, and the other boob is the 2nd page. I think that's the best solution. That covers everything. Sorry, Uber.
If they did nothing, okay, if they did nothing to Sextant blocks, they're like, fuck it, we're just happy with that is. I do think the option of multiple pages would satisfy a lot of people. It would satisfy me. Because, like, okay, so this is the issue that I've been in, right? So it's kind of like, okay, do I want to just chase XP? Do I want to just chase currency? Do I just go for a safe middle ground option to whatever I want? Now, some people make the point of view, which is like, well, if you're choosing to specialize into a thing, there should be a massive opportunity cost. But I just feel like the current situation of Sextant blocks, it goes against the entire initial design of Atlas. We've now had 2 full expansions focused on Atlas, and they're just still being held back by this one mechanic. So, until you change that one mechanic, or give us more Atlases to fuck with, it's just always going to be an issue.
I think if you don't want to get rid of sextant blocking, like if you want to keep it a mechanic, I think you have to like lower the radius of like white sextants and yellow sextants and just keep reds the same. The other thing is that I almost feel like they balance some of the densities, they definitely balance some maps densities around how many sextants they can get. Like Vault is most certainly nerfed compared to last league because you can get 6 sextants on it. And I feel like some of the red maps are super empty because they were scared that people were going to be like, oh, you can get like 7 sextants on this red map or whatever. And
yeah, but then like how do you address because you hear that a lot, right? We were talking about how it can be very easy to sustain maps, but in the average player situation, I think a lot of the complaints of people who are incapable of sustaining maps, they're justified. For the most part, if you don't really know what you're doing, then it can be really, really tough. But then what you're doing is further taking away, like, what you're saying is further taking away power from these players who are already struggling. So then how do we approach this from like a newer player point of view and whatnot? Because then the people, they completely feel like they're fucked over on maps, you know? And then you're really forced to do shaped maps and all this sort of stuff, and then that obviously creates a problem with like how you have to change the atlas again. Because that's what people complain about a lot. I've seen that a lot, where people are like, I cannot sustain maps. Progressing through the atlas is a nightmare.
You
I can't sustain maps. It's really rough.
Yeah, and if you don't roll juicy maps and you don't sextant at all, then you just can't. Like that's how this league is.
People feel like they do. No. Obviously you can't believe people, but like again, if it's like if 1% of the community is saying, yo guys, you just gotta do this, it's really easy, and then 99% of the community is saying it's not really easy, and if this 99% of the community would do it properly, they could do it also, that still doesn't really fix the problem, because from a developer point of view, you obviously want to satisfy the 99% and not the one that actually does it properly.
Well, it's like if doing it properly costs you like a crap ton of currency, that's also not accessible to 99% of the people, and it's really
investment.
Like CuteDog. CuteDog's like bursting. Go for it, bro. Go for it.
When you talk about like community and stuff, I mean, there's a front page post on Reddit right now where a guy's complaining about everything being listed in alchemies, right? And then there's people in the thread saying, hey, I'm using my alchemies for my maps and everything's being listed in alchemies, so how am I supposed to say in alchemies? Well, if everything's listed in alchemies, you just sell your stuff for alchemies, you don't run out of alchemies, right? But like dude, like this is like the community you're talking about. I'm reading this post and it's like on the front page, I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about, dude? And then saying like the community has any kind of say, like obviously we all use Reddit, so I can't just be like, oh, Reddit, right? Because I post on Reddit, you guys post on Reddit, but like there's a lot of stuff going on there where like you just can't even use that as a barometer, and like Sextants aren't an issue as a currency that does something to the game. It's good. It does something interesting to a core part of the gameplay. It's the Atlas that's messed up, right? Like the maps are like way too close together in some parts, and
Yep.
like some people might enjoy like I run channels because I've always loved channels, and it just happened to be like, oh shit, that's like really good this league, and it's like, oh, I'm really lucky. But Sextants themselves aren't a problem. It's the Atlas, it's the positioning, it's how large the radius is. It's like the like how the red maps are all like right there, and it's like super expensive, and like the Sextants don't even drop really. Like it's kind of like this. It's Sextants help people learn the game, right? Like if you don't know how to use something, you shouldn't be, like rewarded for it. You shouldn't be subsidized for it at all. You shouldn't, because like you just get better at the game that way. Like
Yeah, but like that's the thing. Okay, just real quick to counter argument. That's like you sound like the person in League of Legends that's like playing on 3K MMR and saying how his pick is good because people who are winning global tournaments are, picking this character.
nah,
It
man,
just
like
doesn't like in that way it doesn't really it
Look,
doesn't find a solution and it doesn't bridge the gap. It's just because like people do it at a high level, the low level is kind of fucked.
anyone who watches me in Empy streams knows that if there's any question about like how do I min max, how do I do this, it's always just do whatever you have the most fun with, right? Like when there's a decision that doesn't have like a very discrete answer, it's always like, yo, you can just do
Yeah.
whatever you have fun, but then you can't complain otherwise, right? Like I've
Exactly.
always advocated that people do whatever is. Empy has a new video about this. You do whatever's fun for you, but you can't complain when you don't have the wherewithal to do more. And like with the Sextants, like they're still subsidized for it. Like if you're a new player, the most basic player who visits like the Reddit, okay, like a super casual, really pro-y person will know that, hey, I can sell my whites for like 2.5 now, and I can sell my yellows for 6. You play a day, you make money off that even if you don't want to use it, and that's fine. And for someone who's willing to trade and put in the time to get those things, they should be rewarded for that too. Yeah, maybe not to the extent that we're getting it now, because once again, it's the Atlas positioning and the maps and like the shaping that is the issue, but it's not the Sextants themselves. Like if I wanna use a currency, like should you say people use alchemies on their maps, right? Like you could run it white, you could run it blue, but who doesn't use an alchemy? Should alchemy be removed because you have to do it and it gives so much more return than running a map white or blue, right? No, because like people are used to that now. It's been in the game since the beginning. So like with this new thing, it's kind of like that. Like I mean, you can say like it's too powerful, and I mean it adds a bit of juice to the map, but if people have the knowledge, right, eventually to do this, the market will be willing to bear like the equilibrium price of the Sextants, right? Is that 2.5? Is that 4.5? I don't know, but if more people have the knowledge, it would be fine.
Okay, so I think that Alk comparison with the Sextants was not a very good one, because Alk doesn't limit you from doing anything else in the game. While the Sextants, when used properly, when you have the knowledge to do it, completely fucks up 1/4 of your Atlas. If, for example, if you're doing the vault. Okay, so it does that, and it limits you from doing new content that was added into the game just now in 3.1, which is the Elder. The same way the shape strat. So you're shaping your Atlas so that you can, because it's better, right? Same way that is punishing you on the red maps and like Red Elder. So Alk is literally just giving you more, making it harder, while Sextants is giving you more, making you spend time on it. So you have to, kind of have to do have to know what you're doing, and then it has a huge drawback on other content. So that's the problem.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
that.
That's why I said at the very beginning, like it's the Atlas and it's like the positioning and all that stuff that is the issue. The Sextant itself as a currency that does something is not an issue.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
I'm
think
going to
Sextants
say
are good.
2 things real quick.
Thanks.
So the first one is, I agree with everything you're saying, CuteDog.
Whoa, Tarke.
Let me finish. The problem
What's
having...
this supposed to mean?
Oi,
What are you doing there?
Oi, I've got 2 things I'm
Echo
going to say to you
chamber.
right now, Raiz. Okay, so the first thing is that I agree with everything you're saying. However, with all of this talk, like, well, how can they balance Sextants? What if they shrink this? What if they do that? If they just fucking remove Sextants, GG would have a much easier job of getting their Atlas shit sorted. Because currently they've got this very complex system, and they've got to balance everything around it. If they just got rid of it, they could then focus on making the maps feel good. The second thing, and I'm curious to you guys' input on this, so if you notice in the notes, I said, do the Amish have a say in net neutrality? And this is kind of this whole thing about, like, what you're saying with Reddit, right? Because, like, whenever the sexting conversation comes up, the reason why I say this is, like, whenever the sexting conversation comes up, there's always that guy, like, the main people who defend sextants to me are people who don't use them. And that's the thing I find really fucking weird. Like, people who use them go, yeah, these are really powerful, right? So, CuteDog, you might be saying, I think the current system's fine, they're just a little bit too powerful. They should probably be nerfed a little bit because they're too powerful, right? Whereas the people who are like, leave them alone, they're completely fine, and the guys who don't use them and just sell them for like 1 ALK or 2C or whatever the fuck it is, you know? And that's what I find so weird about the system. So, do the Amish have a say in net neutrality?
Unfortunately, they do, right? I mean, they are American citizens, right? Are they voting?
Whoa.
So, like...
Demonetized.
This is going somewhere bad.
But no, I'm just using that example. So basically, do the people who don't do the 99% who don't do the sextant block have a say in the balance of sextant blocking? That's basically what I'm saying. I'm just using that as an analogy, which is easy to understand.
I don't think Raiz does anymore. He's dead.
No, it's just like people who don't give a fuck about it don't comment about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's always the
Like,
vocal minority.
Why would they care? They're not gonna go on Reddit and go, I actually don't care about sextants.
Sextants are fine. I don't...
Sextants are fine.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
see the big deal. Like, don't get me wrong. I fucking love the idea of sextants. The fact that you can like the fact that you
Further
can
tailor
manipulate the
your
atlas, and it can be very complex, and it can be very versatile in a way. Right now you lock yourself into a spot, but it can be very versatile, and in the past you could have multiple of the same tier shaped maps. Like, the idea is really, really cool, but I also agree with Tarke that is the breaking point for all of this other cool shit that they currently have in the game. So I would love a system where CuteDog gets his pack size, because I like pack size too, and all of that stuff, while, you know, having an investment and actually thinking about what the hell you're doing. But I don't think it's possible. Like, just one is against the other one. You know,
I think
they counterbalance each other.
If they just buff
I think-
pack size across the board and get rid of it, it fixes it.
Karv, Karv has been
So,
most
right.
exploding here.
Did you just say that you could have multiple shape maps? You know that you have like extra 5 shaper orbs after you get the T10 orb. You just have to do the Elder Guardians and Elder in red maps, but nobody does it. You actually have extra 5 shaper orbs still that you can use. You get
I haven't done
you
that
get like a T8 and 2 T9 and 2 T10, just like in the previous.
like you used to. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
makes
cool.
sense.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
nobody just does it.
Oh, all right. Well, great. That doesn't
So
matter.
you can like,
You can
do
still
it
do the same thing you could do before. Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
That's cool.
And then you have the 16 orb that is not available in the
I
game.
think like the thing about like this sextant conversation. I think as long as you are investing more into your maps, you will always get more. Like, you can start with, okay, I'm gonna just Alk or transmute and go, Alk and go, chisel and Alk and go, chisel and Alk to high pack size and go, and then sextants. Like, as long as there is like a continuum where you can invest more and more and more into a map and get more and more and more returns out of it in terms of XP or currency or whatever, it's fine.
I think
it's the clusterfuck of the atlas in the top left corner and sextant blocking is kind of like counterintuitive or not.
Yeah,
counterintuitive, like not intuitive.
the balance of like the density of maps in certain corners is definitely something that makes the sextant situation much worse, especially with them adding like another 32 maps to the atlas. It's going to make certain sections more dense. Like, if you ever count how many maps are in certain corners, like, look at how many white maps are in the bottom left. There's like 8, whereas all the others have like 13. And so the bottom left is kind of like really crappy for sextant blocking. Personally, I think that the whole sextant blocking thing kind of limits how they can design the atlas too. So, like, they have to keep in mind positioning. They have to balance some of the density around it, all of that. I feel like maybe switching the way sextants work, like maybe changing it to work like fragments. So you just put them in with the map, and maybe you get like extra league mods or something.
That's kind of what I was going to just change it into a currency. So the players who like a lot of sextants can still keep it, but then like the problem is if you change it into currency, that further like emphasizes on having to participate in group play, right? Because if you're not group playing and if you're not utilizing it, it turns it into the old map system where if you were a single player and people were playing in a group rotating maps and they were exalting maps and maps were actually worth exalted orbs, then the player who's playing by himself feels really left out. But then technically you should be playing the game with your friends, but if you don't have any friends, then that guy, leaves an angry letter, and then GGG is guilty, and they get sued, and everything goes to shit.
GGG did it so much better than Blizzard, though. Like in terms of group play and in PoE and versus like Diablo. Like, it's not even close.
Sorry.
Like in Diablo, group play is like it's like multiple times better in every respect than solo, and in Path of Exile it's so much closer.
Yeah, and Diablo, it's ridiculous. It's like you might as well not play the game literally if you're comparing yourself to group
15
play.
gem levels and everything, more XP per hour, more everything, more loot per hour.
It's like 400% or something, right? Yeah.
What I was thinking is make Sextants work kind of like how Fortune favors the Brave works now in the random league mod thing. So you could pay like if you're running a white map, you pay you can put in like a white sextant and you get a random league mod, and then maybe you can add in like a Zana mod on top of that, so you can have like 2 league mods, and then we basically have kind of like a sort of a legacy thing going on. But
so generally, from what I'm hearing, we're leaning towards keeping sextants as something that can still not really breaching the cap, but keeping the sextants as something that still the really top players can benefit from. It's kind of useful for the mid players. The new players that don't care about it don't care. But then removing the limitations, so kind of changing it either to a currency or something that is just separate from the Atlas itself while still affecting maps.
I think if they do that, the most important thing for me, if they do that, make it a fucking one-time use. The thing I hated about Legacy League was this whole like X charges that, and even with the current.
Wait, so it lasts forever? You mean?
No. Like
or
you
just
use
one
it
map
for the map and it's gone. Like basically Prophecy. It's kind of like when it procs, it's done.
Oh, okay. So actually one map. That would even be more like if you're chaining
like
maps, it's even more annoying then. Like just every map you have to.
Because it's just kind of like.
So you're like,
my thing is
to have more shit in your inventory, I guess.
Yeah.
But
my biggest thing is that sextants need to be changed mostly because
no, stop. No, I fixed it. Okay, bitch, right, this is it. Okay, everyone ready, Glowy Brain. Sextants are something that fucking Zana uses for map mods, so they stay in your stash, and you just when you click your map, boom, done, fucking fixed.
But then you can't do the chaos type ones, like you have to choose or what? Or you can pick like 2 things.
You could do 2. I don't give a shit, but like
that was
that could work.
That fixes
but
it.
I mean, yeah.
What if I go with Ventura? What if sextants were soul bound?
Okay, guys.
Don't go there.
Damn it.
Oh my god.
So basically make it worse for the people that wanted to sell them for currency.
No, I'm kidding.
I know.
Well, that's like an awful solution to everything, because then like
I think
group plays fucked too and everything.
I think the very clear issue with sextants is just that they make doing the shaped Atlas strat like so much better than doing a non-shaped. That's really the biggest problem with them right now. And
so we all agree it's just Atlas. It's just Atlas in positioning, right?
Yeah,
not really
last week was
positioning.
fine, no?
The thing is, most like we've been talking around this like in circles kind of for like an hour ish, and we always come back to like it's the density of maps in the inconsistency of the density of maps on the Atlas, and the fact that sextant blocking exists.
Yeah, but
right?
that's
like
that's
those
impossible to
things-
balance, no? Depending on the type of
it's
layout that
hard.
you have, like this is where build variety hurts GGG in a way, because like it's such a drastic difference if you're playing a light poacher in a field or if you're playing in a waste pool versus a cyclone in a waste pool and then in a field, right? Like it's so drastic that you can never really find a middle spot for something like this. And so I feel like we can't really that's unarguable in a way, right? That's just we have to just accept that and like kind of figure out
I
the
mean-
other shit.
I mean, if we're
they
gonna-
remove- Sorry, go ahead.
If we're gonna have the current system, what needs to happen is non-shaped red maps need to be like insane density right now. It doesn't matter if you get super ridiculous like 2,000 mobs per map if you put 7 red sextants on a red map. That doesn't matter. They're like, you know how hard it is to get 7 red sextants for every 3 red maps that you want to run? Like,
Yeah, that's never
It's-
gonna happen.
You think they could balance that? You think they could put it in a world where, sure, it's not 100% balanced, but it's like feasible that you can actually compare shaped maps to non-shaped maps, and the people who want to run the single map have the same thing, and the people who want to just rotate have the other thing. I mean, it's definitely gotten worse, right?
If they remove
The balance
blocking,
wasn't there last league, but it was pretty close.
yeah. I mean, last league you could also like block properly, right? At least for the
Yeah, you
good
could-
maps
you
that people
could.
farm. But like, if they remove blocking completely, then it just becomes a bigger gamble, right? People love gambling with like cards and shit. Like that's if there's no opportunity for blocking and or blocking properly, and then
Whoa. What?
I'll
Oops,
take that
that-
opportunity. Let's go.
then it just becomes okay. Will I get fucking Nemesis monsters drop 3 additional currency, or will I get slipstreams, right? And then you can't just block out the good months, and then it's a bigger gamble, I think.
So what it boils down to is that Strand was way too OP with like Vol Fireball and shit like that, and those builds really stood out. And now it's basically Light Poacher. But I feel like if they could like attempt to make it a little bit more similar to what it was last league, where without these completely broken builds now, non-shaped Atlas would be comparable somewhat to a shaped Atlas, and we could just make it like breach that gap a little bit more so that it would be a little bit closer and balanced to what it was last league. Then without builds like fucking Vol Fireball and like all these builds that really benefits from these open layouts where you can clear a map in 30 seconds, like maybe, maybe they could actually do it so that it would be comparable, and then both groups have the same thing, and then Sextants are fucking whatever.
But okay, before we move on, and we probably should move on just for the sake of us not saying the exact thing over and over again. How do people feel about the fact that it's so much harder to sustain like Guardian maps? Because a very legitimate strat in Harby League for people XP farming was minnow farming Beyond. So like, you skip boss, you just chaining that Beyond. Like I did that until I ripped at 98 to Den 8 dead, by the way. But like that used to be a proper strat, so it was one of those things of, while there was this whole shape setup, if you just wanted crazy fucking XP, that was some of the best XP you could get in the game. And now it's like good luck if you wanted to try and maintain that.
Fuck Harby. That's my comment.
Yep.
Yeah, those
I
are
don't
just
consider
trivialized
it a real league.
map sustain. I think it was bad. I much prefer if maps are hard to come by or harder to come by than just like Guardians or 5C on soft car. Like,
I don't
just-
think you should sustain T16s.
Yeah,
Like
I
ever.
agree. I agree.
Like it's a problem when you can't sustain T12s, but if you it's also a problem if you're sustaining T16s.
Yeah,
I
somewhere
agree,
around
I agree.
14, 15 should be like the cutoff point. Like you shouldn't be able to chain Guardians, I don't think. That's
Yeah.
It felt
Actually, CuteDog,
absurd.
would you
It
agree
felt
with
dumb having like 10 pages of Guardian maps, so I was just curious.
Yeah, I mean, it was like having a tab, like almost a quad tab full of Guardians last league or Harbinger. It was just like, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
Like
but
a lot, like-
that's the thing, because people always say that, right? That so it's basically finding like a spot, because I always thought that that's what people kind of wanted, where they were like, you could never sustain maps before, then you went from like never being able to sustain any maps really ever to sustaining maps really well. And then now we're kind of not sustaining maps, and people were complaining about how you need to have more maps. So like, where is the breakpoint? Like, I think people kind of have to agree. And I'm surprised because I thought CuteDog would be one of the people that would say, like, any map should be sustainable. But to you, there seems to be a limit. So what if the limit was like tier 12s in a way, right?
well, any map that CuteDog runs is sustainable. That's
Yeah,
what
like
he
if
does
you know what
most
you're
of.
doing, if you're doing a shaped Atlas strat, most of the stuff that you're going to be running, whether it's for XP or for currency, it's going to be very sustainable if you know what you're doing. The thing I like about the leagues is like, I like when something like just happens, right? Whether like organically or like through Gigi's like like patch notes where you're like, oh wow, this is a thing now. Like for example, when I did my Biscos test, right? If yellow Sextants weren't 6C, the results would be a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that like yellow Sextant became 6 Chaos, you're like, holy shit! Like every time I drop a yellow Sextant now, that's a lot of money. That pays for my Zana mods and stuff. So like that's really cool. I like when stuff like little like economical things come out like that, where it's like it changes how you think about like how you're gonna play or like how you're gonna trade. But as for the maps, also I like when people who put in the time and like push to Shaper, they shouldn't a week or two later shouldn't be like, oh, I'm getting 5C Shaper maps and then like Dying Sun's like 2 exalts. Like I don't like that. I like some exclusivity where because there's very little skill in this game, right? Skills in like racing and stuff. And so like for the normal stuff, it's all like how much can you play, how much do you know about the game. So
speaking about Quant, how do we feel about Quant basically Biscos this league and MF in general?
Oh, I actually have some news on this. I asked a dev about this last night because I was talking about Shaper and Elder stuff, and because you know how like you always find Shaper and Elder items, they're always rare when they drop. I was wondering if rarity actually affected it. It doesn't. It's only Quant. So, or at least according to Neon. But I would trust his. I would trust his
expertise.
Yeah. So quantity affects how often Shaper and Elder items drop, which makes quantity that much better. Rarity has become sort of like a second thought type of thing. It's like all stack quantity, stack quantity, stack quantity.
Yeah.
And while I think that people stack quantity too much without caring about rarity, like I think you should have some rarity if you're gonna stack that much quant. I do think quant's still like really, really ridiculous. Like it got to the point where in the SSF races and like Turmoil and Mayhem and stuff, if you had a Biscos, and that Biscos equates to more XP per hour and XP per map because you're getting more Sextants, and it also means that you're trading less, and for whatever excess of whatever you're not using, you have that much more to sell. So it's for non-SSF, that is. But Biscos is honestly like really ridiculous right now, and
that's the thing. That's what I really wanted to ask. Do you guys really think that how many hours do you have to put in to pay off a Biscos right
It
now?
depends on what maps you run. If you run vaults,
you can
a few
sell it
days,
right after the next map.
I don't know. That was a Reddit thread.
I mean, on
that's
average.
insane, like 800 upwards or something. That the guy was saying that you need to farm 80 exalts with a Bisco for it to be worth it. I don't know where he gets that 80 exalt number, but as soon as you farm the price of the Biscos, you're already ahead.
Yeah.
Because you got that 14 exalts or 15 exalts earlier. Of course, you're down 14 exalts for that duration, but after that, it's all pure profit. So I don't know.
You have to sacrifice an amulet. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Of course.
That's a lot of crit
disregarding
multiplier.
But yeah, like you can like saying that you have to farm for that, but let's say that the price of the Biscos stays stable, it doesn't like go up or down. You can literally sell the Biscos if you need money for something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anytime.
So there's literally no downside to it unless
long as you can
need some
afford a
very
Bisco,
specific unique amulet.
You should wear a Bisco. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
if you can use it, if you can avoid it, you should use it.
yeah.
If you need then if you need to get more currency for a new build, then you sell the Biscos.
And here's the other thing about it: if you have the currency for Biscos, you probably have the currency to buy a whole bunch of prophecies to rush Sauna 8. And one of the things that Biscos really amplifies is breaching maps, and this is one of the things that bothers me every time I see it on Reddit. Why is breach at Zana level 8? Well, because it's one of the most powerful league mods.
It's the most
one
XP,
for target farming,
the most currency, the most everything. Like Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Of course, they would put the best stuff for the hardest, like the highest Zana one. Like it just
Yeah, and
makes sense.
Bisco's amplifies like how powerful
Yep.
Breach is, and it makes it that much easier to sustain that and get a return from the cost of spending on Breach, or get more profit out of it.
Yeah, especially in card maps. Like especially in
Yeah.
maps where good cards drop, that just drop from breaches all the time. Like that's insane.
Like
Doctors,
last league,
Abandoned Wealth, whatever.
last league I didn't shape a single T14. Instead, I went for Volcano, and I was just doing volcanoes all day with like one Ventors, which was really well rolled, and Biscos. And I think I finished like 5 or 6 comb sets, like in a week and a half
Okay.
of just kind of messing around. Also doing some beachheads, some guardians.
So Bisco's still a problem, is what you guys are saying.
Yeah, like there's this weird thing with Reddit and Biscos where like whenever you mention Biscos on Reddit, like actually I did the maths and it's only like 12% quant, so
It's like 17.5 with full MF, right? That's the final number. Like if you wear every single quantity item with perfect rolls, then 100% Bisco is like 17.5. Comes out to be a 17.5 quantity. That guy is like...
But it really depends, because it depends. Are you running Breach? How many Sextants are you running? How many?
Yeah. The more you juice up your map, the better Bisco becomes. Like
yeah. And then we have the Elder portals and all that stuff. Yep. Elder influence and Shaper influence, which adds more mobs to the map. And some of those white mobs already drop a ton of loot. So Bisco's even amplifies that even further. So.
Okay, one more thing. This is going to be really, really, really controversial. I have an inkling that Bisco works with maps. And I have no big test to support this, but I probably will do it at some point. Last league, at the start, I was actually struggling to sustain spider forests until I had a Bisco, at which point I started swimming in them. And I have this backed up by a lot of people whose opinion I trust, who map a lot, like a lot as in thousands and thousands of maps. I will do a proper test, but Bisco is not quantity. It doesn't appear on the miscellaneous tab in your C. Like if you equip or unequip Biscos, it doesn't show up there. So it might actually be a different multiplier that actually works with maps. So I'm just
which would be a bug.
Put this out there, which would be bugged. Yeah. But,
God, I can remember from like the 0.9.11 days when you could get quantity on gear and quantity on gear affected map drops. You would run out of all maps, period, if you weren't stacking like 200 quant.
Okay,
it was
all
disgusting.
I'm going to say, just to interrupt you very rudely, Uber, CuteDog had a very large smile on his face the entire time you said that, Empy. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too.
Yeah.
I was getting chats in game for trades and stuff, making monies. Yeah, I sold my Pulsar Wolf Protector for 20 results. That's
how many Biscos did you buy this time?
Dude, I only have one. I've bricked Biscos this league, but this is like okay. Here's what I'll say about Biscos. Okay, like map stuff aside, because that's you don't know. So the thing is like I ran 2 tests. One I did on stream. I did manually, so I knew that the ratios were correct for that time, and it was about 40% increase in just like currency that you could reliably get. Like I'm not talking about like where currency cop takes your thing and like gets you weird ratios and like gets every div card and every essence. Like the things that you could actually sell within like 10 minutes, right? Poor Joys, the temple map, and like things like that would instantly sell. And it was about 40% increase. It was 290. Chaos versus 211 without a Biscos, and I also dropped a belly in the Biscos test, but like that's who cares. So that's 40%, and I did it again with 72 maps, which is a full map stash tab, and it was the same thing, about 40% increase. It was like 700 something versus 500 something chaos of pure currency jewelers and like things I could very easily sell within 10-20 minutes. And so as a new player, it's always like, oh well, it's 14 exalts, and it's like, okay, what item are you gonna buy for 14 exalts that's gonna increase your mapping by 40%?
Exactly.
So just think about that. Like, there's no item. I mean, you could buy a headhunter, that's like maybe 50% increased clear speed sometimes, but like, there's no item you can buy for your character that is gonna that is gonna like get the benefit, right? It's not just the money. It is literal clear speed pretty much for your character and more. So
think about this too, is it also will increase the amount of sextants you get in return, which means less trading, which means you're spending more time mapping with Biscos.
Yeah, but most people don't concern that. Like, most people are not that efficient, right? Like,
yeah.
Most people don't min-max their time so much so that they're like thinking about stuff like, okay, I'm gonna buy 1,000 sextants instead of 100 or something because they just can't afford it or something. But the same way, if you spend like an hour pure mapping, like nothing else, perfect dump tab, portal position, everything like that, you make so much more compared to if you like. CuteDog has a really good video about this where like efficiency while mapping. Like if you talk to Zana after every single map and vendor everything and chance your amulets there and then vendor that and then put the currency back, like you waste so much time in your hideout compared to like proper efficient mapping, which not a lot of people do.
I mean
and
oh god.
and we're back to sextants again.
Yeah.
So
But like what you say about efficiency is really important though. Like a big reason why I've been such a fucking casual this league was because I went so hard in Mayhem, because everything we did was on the hour. It's like everyone's hideout was like, we have the map device with Zana and the stash tab on the map device. We are not allowed to fucking drink. Like so the guys we were playing with, we had a joke because we were both British, that we would make a tea like on the hour and then we would just watch the tea for the next 45 minutes and then we'd gulp the entire thing in one go as someone was reapplying sextants. And it's like, okay, I can have a break in 2 more hours. And it's like, and we would literally be sat there, we'd be wishing for a bad hour so we could eat. And it's like, guys, it's shore again. It's like, oh fuck, okay, another hour, let's go. And yeah, it's like,
That sounds super fun.
Well,
Yeah. God.
For context, I got level 100 in 3 days and 20 hours of played. So it was like pretty efficient. So after that, I've spent this entire league. There's a reason why I haven't done my sextant block and all this shit this league, because I'm just kind of like, hey, let's play Blink Mirror Arrow Traps. That'll be fun, yeah? Like, I'm just like, I could map, or I could open Path of Building. Yeah, let's open Path of Building, stare at Path of Building for like a week and a half. But, no, when you really do go full, like, maps, let's go. Everything is, say, like... But for the sake of this not being like a 27-hour podcast...
Yeah, that's the thing. Are we doing this like a rant class, or are we actually...
Yeah, so, okay, one final thing before we just go, like, on for years. So since we briefly touched on the whole, like, Zana 8 thing, since it is such a, like, big point, do we think that Breach should stay on 8 in the future, or would we like to see it on, like, 7? Just because
it's either on 8 or it's not there at all.
What would you put on 8 if Breach is on 7? Like, there's no point. There's what else?
Dark.
4 breaches, maybe?
One thing that I said would maybe be like a good
Legacy.
idea is if you had a shittier breach at like 4. So you
Dark
currently have,
Shrine.
you
Just
currently
one breach at
have
4?
like 2 breach at 8. What if you had 1 breach which costs like 4 or 5 C at 4? So
Yeah,
it's
that
one
would
of
still be
those
worth
things
it.
that if you had Biscos and everything and you had a low level Zana, it would still kind of be worth doing. But getting it to 8 would be so much more profitable.
Nemesis, actually, that's a good point, Chad. Nemesis, you could put on 8. You could bring back, and then, yeah.
Why?
Put
You
Breach
just
on
have
7.
somebody else open the map for you, and you can chance your headhunter in there. What do you
Yeah, but right now you can't, because there's not at all.
I'm
But
kidding,
yeah,
I'm
of course, yeah. Not everyone would level, but then those who did would have pretty good profits selling that, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, you did say you got your Zana to 8 in 3 days, which, by the way, sounds really ridiculous.
Yeah, well,
Did you get-
Prophecies, man.
whooped prophecies and just grinded T15s with force procs. Like, it's like 30 pairs of prophecies, Master 6 help and Gracious Master from 7 to 8. So it's 30. You need to proc Master 6 help 30 times in a T15 map to get it from 7 to 8, and then from 6 to 7 is like 10. So it's like 40 total.
Oh, that's actually
40
not
pairs.
much at all. Wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the start they were like, Gracious Master was like 2-3 C, Master 6 helps and it was like 5, 6, 7, 8. Now
That's
they've
a
got
trick for.
obviously, but
That's a trick that I don't think a lot of people use. Is that you can
it
stealing
was the same.
prophecies and selling them.
Yeah, it
is
was the same last
really
league.
good
Like
money.
you could do the same last league. This is why we did it this league, because it was okay.
Yep.
Zana is still 8. Okay, then we just get Zana 8 and at the start you can make insane profits by breaches because even Tool and Ash are good. Like right now they're like not even worth
Yeah.
looting. They're an alteration orb now or less. At the start you can actually sell Tool and Ash stones for 30-40 C.
Oh yeah,
For like a few days and then they tank like crazy.
dude, I transferred out of SSF. I had a Toll Blessing. I like immediately sold it for like 75 chaos.
Holy shit.
Nice. Okay, Tarke.
So, is there anything that anyone wants to still say, or are we doing finish up now? Because I think we've gone for quite a while.
Sextants are
Karv, you
perfectly
had-
fine.
Wait, what? Aren't we doing the
Yeah,
thing at
I
the
have-
bottom?
Oh,
I
sorry.
have- I
Yeah.
have-
What's
Excuse
okay?
me?
So what's this thing at the bottom? Go. Explain.
Okay, so you know how GGG made Atlas so that we can we can customize how we run maps and like what maps we run. I think we are actually limited on that. You can only do that by like with shape maps right now, so shape yellows or shape reds, and to some extent normal white maps. For example, you could run the 4 volcanoes only by like shaping the T5 next to it into 10, so it doesn't drop as a T5 anymore. So how many actually would like to run red maps without the shitty adjacent drops? So I think there's multiple different ways they could actually allow us to run the red maps. Let's just ignore the Sextants completely. But like we have the Shaper orbs to upgrade map. What if we had a orb that would downgrade a map, so that let's say we had the bark, right? We talked about it earlier. So if we had the bark from T30 into T8, we wouldn't drop any of the bad adjacent maps anymore, but we would have the nice layout. Or if we could lock the map from completely dropping adjacents, of course they would have to limited amount of the orbs that would do this, but so that you could actually pick some red maps that you like and run them without getting the bad adjacent next to it.
Basically, for anyone in chat who's confused, what you're kind of saying is let's say you wanted to farm waterways. You took the 12 next to waterways and you shaped that down so it could no longer drop.
Or you could just lock waterways.
Or lock waterways, so yeah, it can't drop adjacent maps.
Basically, giving us more customization options.
Wait.
Because right now.
Wait. I'm like, Empyrean's making a weird face. Oh, there we go. Okay.
There we go.
Never
Okay, I
mind.
restarted. I think
Okay, go on.
should work now.
So yeah, basically, just giving us more options, because right now we are kind of limited in the red map section.
Yeah, there's some of these cool red maps that are actually really good. Like again, I mentioned Defiled Cathedral and Crimson Temple. They're really good maps. And maybe you want to farm Caldera, which has garbage pack size. GG, please. Maybe you want to farm Caldera for Combs cards, because apparently it now drops right before the fall. I'm kind of wanting to test that out if I get Zona 8, but it gives you more card farming options. It gives you more just options for maps to run, which aren't generally run too much. And I guess it also gives you the option to specifically target farm for something like Steel Rings or Opal Rings or Marble Amulets, which are also only dropping in I think there's 3 confirmed maps that I have right now. I think there's 4 or 5 that they can drop in. But
Wait, but you could have, okay, so let's say we take the check marker, right? That you can, let's say we can lock a map so that it can't drop adjacent. Do you mean this with just anywhere?
If the adjacent map, so you have Bark and then a T12 and T14. So if those 2 maps are not unlocked in your Atlas, then they wouldn't drop at all. So basically it would be like running a map in the other side of the Atlas.
Right.
basically running it
okay.
as if it was a shaped map.
Yeah,
And
imagine
this
yeah.
wouldn't have a limitation in any way. You could like open Palace, Necropolis, Ghetto, all these maps that are like across from each other. Like you wouldn't really have a limit. So it would essentially be shaped maps without
I mean,
being
they
shaped.
could have
adjacent
it.
stuff.
Just the idea of being able to some extent.
Honestly, I'm thinking like I'm fucking thinking of a downside to this shit, but it actually sounds really good. I don't know. I can't figure out a downside to
I mean,
it.
okay,
That sounds really good.
I can give you downside. You could argue that for example, the steel rings are too valuable to farm, and then I'm just gonna tell you, how about the T14 vault that you're farming with 7 sextants? So that is a
But that's-
downside you could argue to,
That's
but
the thing in a game like this. There's always going to be something that's more efficient or the most efficient,
Yeah,
and people will inevitably find it. And then people who only want to do the most efficient thing will inevitably farm that, and only
and-
that, because that's what they care about. That's what's that's what's fun
can
for
I-
them or whatever.
can I extend
Yeah.
the idea slightly more? So right now you would have the two maps, like the adjacent maps would be just like completely, you never see them, right? They're just like
Mhm.
you don't have them.
Can you unlock them?
Yeah, I mean, you could then like somehow, I don't know.
Can you basically can you get the bonus, but you can still have the map in the middle
I'm
be
coming.
locked?
I'm coming there. So
Okay.
right now, the example
It's
I
coming.
gave you is like the maps. The maps are literally just they're not in Atlas. No bonus. They don't drop, and so on. What if instead of doing what I said, that like adding like a orb that would lock it? What if when you unlock a map right now, so you would just like progress the maps. When you unlock a map, there would be like just a simple check that you would check so that it like locks the map. You no longer get bonus. It no longer drops, even if it's adjacent to your map, like map that you're running. But then because you have run it once this league, you could then like uncheck it, and now it would drop again. So you would lose all the bonuses when you lock the maps, but then you could like choose, like you could actually, let's say you want to run like one map and then you get bored of it, then you could switch to a different map.
How do you unlock in this system? Like if the adjacent system
just
doesn't
like-
work, how do you unlock like a higher tier map?
I mean, it's like, so when you start, like you're just starting the league, right?
Mhm.
You're progressing the maps. After you first unlock the map, then you have the option to
Oh,
lock it.
okay. Oh, okay. So the unlocking works just
Yeah,
the
so
same
you
as
have
now,
to
but
do
then
it. So you have to first do it, and then you have the
Okay.
chance to, like the
Yeah.
option to, like
yeah,
remove it.
yeah, I
But-
get it now. Yeah.
But you don't have to
Yeah.
run it again in order
I
to
thi-
unlock it.
I think it's a good idea, but it's like really unintuitive for people who are like, okay, so why does the Atlas rules suddenly change? Because now I
Yeah.
unlock the map. But I mean, as long as people would get
Yeah,
used
this
to
is
that, then it
basically
would
just
work.
like throwing ideas around that allows
Yeah.
to like more customization.
Yeah.
This is fucking genius. I wish you said that before. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even argue anything else previously
Yeah.
to this. It's fucking
Yeah.
genius in my opinion.
Like this doesn't. I don't want to say the word again, but this doesn't remove the problem with Sextants.
No.
Yeah, but I
that
mean-
will always come back to
I
the,
think-
Yeah.
the map density in the Atlas.
The balance of the maps basically is infinite. If you feel, even if you're a person that only likes to run a single map, you still have the option if you get bored of that map
As
to
long
run
as you
another
have
map if you
options.
just feel like
Yeah.
it. This is
Exactly.
just endless options for anybody, and you can do whatever you want with your Atlas.
That's always
Shaping is
good.
not an issue.
Well,
I mean, I don't know if it would have to like be expensive to like lock in the maps or whatnot. Like that's a matter of
Yeah.
figuring
Yeah,
things
of
out.
course,
Yeah,
could
that's
have
the
a-
only
but-
question.
Yeah, it could have a downside, of course. Like we
or
could, like,
you could remake Sextants into a new mechanic that somehow makes this possible. Like you could use Sextants to enable this type of Atlas manipulation.
yeah, I just feel I just feel we're way too limited with the current Atlas. I think that's my big issue with the Atlas.
Well, you're limited in a sense that if you commit to one
Yeah.
strategy, it's very, very expensive, especially for a casual player, to switch out of the strategy and try something else.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that they like
I
the
agree 100%.
strategies are limiting you so much from like you literally cannot do. Okay, so if you do the shape strat, you cannot farm Red Elder. It's just virtually impossible because when you start doing it, then the maps unlock and then you lost your shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's like
I'll go on Evo, then I'll finish.
there's a whole Elder and Shaper influence stuff too. That can go into this. Like if you're like, oh crap, my Elder is going into red maps right now, you could probably like unlock those red maps and make sure, like, if you don't want Elder in those maps, or if you don't, like, if you're trying not to get an Elder or a red Elder for whatever reason. But It's interesting for Elder and Shaper farming too, for Elder Shaper item farming.
It's better.
Yeah.
It would literally be a better system for the new thing that GGG just introduced.
Yep.
Because you've got the freedom to move around however the hell you want, and it's still punishing while also not losing your fucking mind every time the guy moves the opposite way of where you want him to go. Because you just decided to run a map that wasn't like adjacent to one of the influences. I don't know. I would really love for GGG. Like, have you sent them anything like this? Like, have they?
I've talked with one person.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the thing about the thingy, you know. I'm an alpha player, so I have played with talked with a
Right.
dev through that.
What did they say? Sorry, I don't understand.
I mean, I've literally just. So-
He's getting you back. Question mark. Question mark. Question mark.
What do you mean?
I
Come
only-
on, bruh.
Fucking, I don't get it.
I only have 1,010 hours, dude. They hired me like a day ago.
I'm just saying that I have like talked about the. I don't think that this specific this check to like lock to unlock. I haven't talked about that because that was actually just brought up as an idea like I think yesterday on the stream, and then it was just
Yeah.
like, oh god, this is like god tier.
You know, that just remind like talking about the Elder thing. I guess it's a different topic, but that just reminded me of another issue with like the whole Elder Shaper thing. You can't guarantee a red Elder spawn.
Oh
right now
yeah,
with the Corona. It's so stupid. Like
Wait,
in order to get 20 maps, you have to connect to if you want the majority of your maps to be red for Elder to get an Elder spawn, you have to connect through yellow maps. Like there's no way to get 20 maps that are all just red. And then you can get an Elder spawn in yellow, and it's just like
Well, it can be frustrating, but I mean, it's PoE, right? RNG.
I
RNG
think,
is the name of the game.
I think what we can agree. So just to summarize, for anyone who's just tuned in now, just to finish up. So for the last 3 hours, Sextants are too powerful. Atlas still needs some work, and we should make a GoFundMe to send Karv to New Zealand.
yes.
I think we can all agree
Seems
that would
good.
be a solution.
Okay. I disagree with the Sextants too powerful. I think the issue that we were talking about was the difference between the high level players and the newer players. That's
also,
the only
Elder influence is
clarification
way
that I'd
too
make.
strong.
Yeah, sure. I don't care. I wish Karv said this shit at the start of the podcast and we didn't waste 3 hours on talking about
Yeah.
some bullshit rather than like
Nobody's
actually.
gonna be listening anymore. Congratulations if you made
Nice,
it here. But you
Karv.
just
Saving
made it
the
through like an
juicy
hour
bits
and a
for
half
last.
of ranting about Sextants.
hey, I did type it in the script, but I think
Yeah,
nobody
10
read it.
minutes ago.
No,
Oh, you
it was-
mean? Oh, okay.
no,
Yeah.
you can go see when it's
yeah.
typed in there.
No, I thought you
Yeah.
meant on Skype.
No, I'm
Yeah,
talking about the actual.
I would love a comment from GGG about this, because yeah,
Like, I don't.
usually
I can,
when somebody says something, I'm always like, well, the downside is this. Oh, you're fucking over this group. I cannot think of something that is actually like, there are downsides, but nothing that's like actually impactful. I don't know.
I mean, what? Okay, another downside. I mean, you could argue that the downside is that there is no downside. You could say that.
Matt,
You could say
That is
because-
actually true.
Whoa.
because right now everything you decide to do on the Atlas impacts another thing, and I mean we can't like just snap our fingers and restart our like our character completely.
You
So
commit. Yeah.
so there's like an opportunity cost. So that might be a reason why they would never do anything like this. But
and
I-
it's treated
but-
like
but it kind of has a downside still, right? Because I mean, right now it would be the Sextants because it's still way easier to sextant block the low maps. So that's still that is still a downside in the in that area. But
Yeah.
more darky.
Well,
But it
in
would-
that sense, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, Tarke, go.
Basically, what I'm picturing right now, you know when you see someone paint a floor and they literally paint themselves into a corner? What Karv has done is he's painting the floor in fucking vectors. he's like playing 27D PoE chess, and he's like got the teleportation pads.
Oh my
We all get out, it's safe. He's like, one more thing, teleport back in, just vector it back up again.
No, it's actually Karv. That's a very good point, I think, that you made about like having a downside. I think it's good to have downsides to everything, because then you appreciate the good side much more. Like same thing. I know this is probably not a good example because it's gonna be Diablo, but there is good pylons in Diablo that you're happy about, and there is ones that are like whatever. But if you wouldn't have those, then it would just be mandatory to like, okay, you always get the good pylons, or I guess we could say shrines for PoE. Sometimes you get a resist shrine, and that's completely useless in softcore. So who cares about getting a resist shrine? But when you get the good shrine, the speed shrine, then you're so much more happy about that because you could have gotten the bad one, right? So having a downside is a good thing, I think.
Yeah, but you can
Because you
downsize it by like. Okay, so if you were to compare it again to Diablo 3, in my opinion, the problem with Diablo 3 was that despite the fact that you were locked into certain things through gear, you could still switch out your abilities however you wanted, and that's kind of annoying.
As long as your set bonus still affected them, but yeah.
Yeah, but like if you were to do something like that, then if you were to compare it to PoE, you can't really. There is a downside to the way you move around your atlas, and there's a downside if you want to respec your character. Even if it's minor respecs, it can end up being quite expensive. So
I guess.
So if you were to do the same thing with the atlas, and let's say, I don't know, anytime you feel like changing a map, you have to take into account, this is going to cost 20 regret orbs and 5 chisels. And now you can play another map.
Sure. It has to cost something because then what happens if you do the whole unlock and lock thing is you're like, okay, so I want to run a whole bunch of like Shape Belfry, and then so I should probably just unlock every single T14, every single T13, whatever, and so you can maximize your Atlas bonus. So there has to be some sort of like cost to all of this, in order to make it so that like, oh, I'm not running Shape Belfry anymore. I want to run Shape Vaults instead. Okay, I can just close off all my T14s now, or whatever.
You could also have a multiple atlas pages so that you switch the other atlas when you're running the other.
That's a possibility. Having atlas pages.
There's so many different ways they could allow us for more customization and to remove the limitation of sextant blocking. Like I think against the sextant blocking, the best case in my opinion is just have more pages of Atlas.
I guarantee you right now, honestly, at the GG offices, there's been a lot of talks about Atlas right now, because like that's most of what Reddit has been talking about, and so it's pretty clear that a lot of people are not happy with the current state of Atlas, and so they're probably like having meetings about this, discussion, maybe prototypes, things like that. So having ideas like that are probably of interest to them right now too. So it's interesting.
That's such a I'm like thinking like, for instance, what would you do with so let's say you're switching a map, you want to switch to a different map, right? So what do you now do with the maps that you were running previously? Like, are you still allowed to run them? Can you have multiple maps of the same tier locked and opened up? Like there's a lot of
okay, so the boss. Like at least the proposed idea of the check for the lock or unlock, it would just literally not give you any bonus. You could still run it, but you wouldn't get the bonus of the completion, and it wouldn't drop. So you could, maybe if you run the exact map that you have, made it to not drop, that could drop inside the same map, but you wouldn't get the other maps that are locked.
Right. Yeah.
And since we are talking about sextants, you could also make it so that if you lock the red maps or unlock them, when they're unlocked, if you apply a sextant to it, it could work like right now, and when you lock it, then it wouldn't do anything. So that the sextant would just kind of like not do anything. So you could then use those for like sextant blocking too. You could then move the sextant blocking of the maps when the maps are allowed to drop, and when they are not allowed to drop, they don't do anything.
And then you don't use up your sextant charges either if you're just leveling a new character and whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah.
so you don't
Yeah, I
limit
feel
yourself.
the using up
Genius.
of the Sextant charges is brilliant. Yeah, if that like that's the only downside currently, like because like what we talked about, locking your like quarter of your Atlas.
Yeah.
The only reason you can't run those maps because if you fuck up your Sextant locking. But if you make it so that there's an option that you don't consume the Sextant charges by whatever means they introduce, then that solves that part entirely. Like.
I'm fucking I agree. I'm
I'm
speechless.
solid. Yeah, Karv.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
GG Karv. Please
GGG Karv.
make it happen, guys.
Oh my god. Yeah, and
You're
also
making me
the thing
blush
that you
now. Now I have
said
to
that
go.
it's like it's not that like it's kind of intuitive. This is something that you would see in a different game, I feel like. Going into PoE, the fact that you can lock and it's adjacent, it's a simple concept, and I think it would still feel quite intuitive. So, yeah. Freaking
Except it would be $10 in another game with another company.
exactly, exactly that. Tarke, take
Premium
this.
Atlas. Unlock your premium Atlas for only $9.99.
Oh god.
Tarke, take
Or you
this
can grind for
somewhere.
500 hours to get a sense of pride and accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the same thing.
Yeah. Right.
Sense of pride.
I'm all Atlas out, and I think some of chat is, but yeah, that is why I brought Karv on for this episode, because Karv knows what he's talking about. So I'm glad we got there
Good
in the
shit.
end. We got there in the end.
Wait, then why was I here?
Yeah, to
Well, no,
counter
no.
balance
Okay,
the
Uber.
purpose here.
Okay, no. Okay,
Thanks,
so Uber and Karv are kind of like two people who know things, because like we have Raiz, who's kind of like SSF, by the way, but
Yeah,
then you could have
SSF.
Uber who knows what he's talking about, right? And then you have Karv, who's kind of like that man you see at the top of the mountain, like you trek for 5 miles and you say, Karv, how do I fix my life? And he's like, he sits and he looks at you, and then he just like says, you're an idiot. And then you've reached your limit and you go
And then
down
you're
the
like,
mountain.
you're right.
That's
Holy
basically
shit.
what Karv is, right?
Yeah,
So-
he can explain it to you, and you're just like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
right.
So that's
He could explain it to you, and then while he's explaining it, die while something he's
Whoa.
explaining.
and still be happy about it. And just reroll.
yeah.
Talking about a mortal call, gets silenced out of cast on damage taken a mortal call and dies.
Oh god, that was so ironic. That was just so...
Anyway, so on that, Empy, I'd like to thank you. You also offered a lot to it. And CuteDog, I just want to say I've spent the last 20 minutes just staring. You need to be like photoshopped into like a Star Wars poster, just like a fucking forced ghost this entire episode. Oh, okay. But that is us done now, I think. Unless anyone has any last minute things they would like to add to the game.
Bring back Nemesis, please. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine.
So, thanks guys, that's it.
Wow.
Great